In the great state of Mississippi, 72 miles is all that separates Alcorn State from Jackson State. They are neighbors, and every day is a wonderful day in this neighborhood, especially when the Tigers and Braves battle in the Soul Bowl. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Butch Alcindor. Welcome to SWAC Football on ESPN3. Joining me here in the booth, former Rice quarterback Taylor McCarg. On the sideline, we have Santoria Black. He'll be joining us later. But when you talk about college football, there are some big rivalries around. And in the SWAC, there are none bigger than Alcorn State taking on Jackson State.
That's right. When we talked to Coach Hendrick earlier in the week, he talked to us about how, as a coach, he's a part of LSU and Alabama, and then as a player, a part of Pitt and West Virginia, and how this game to these guys has the same level of emotion. And so this is obviously a very important game to both teams. Yeah,
we expect to see a lot of intensity on the field this afternoon. Let's check out some of our impact players now. And we start with the visitors, the East Division champion, Alcorn State. And, boy, it's been a Cinderella story for that guy, quarterback Felix Harper, who started the season on the bench.
He did. He started the season on the bench and replaced an injured Noah Johnson, who was SWAC Player of the Year last year, and has done a really nice job filling that void, one of the top quarterbacks in all of FCS.
But you know what, Taylor? The J-State Tigers, well, they have a very talented young quarterback also, freshman Jalen Jones, an 18-year-old who's just starting to come into his own.
That's right. When we saw Jackson State earlier in the year, they were still sort of rotating through quarterbacks, but in the last stretch of this season, Jalen Jones has really separated himself and played really well, has had over 200 yards passing and a combined 7 touchdowns in these last couple games, and has done a really good job establishing himself as this team's young leader.
You know, there's a lot on the line in this one. We will talk about that when we come back. We are minutes away from showtime. Kickoff between the Braves and the Tigers is coming up next on ESPN3.
To T-Mobile today to get up to 4 iPhone 11s on us. Only at T-Mobile.
Nothing. Let me punch it. And welcome back, everyone, to today's SWAC showdown between Alcorn State and Jackson State. Now, this one used to be called the City Classic. Now it's called the Soul Bowl, so let's go to Santoria Black with more on the big rivalry. Santoria?
Alcorn State. Who we love, who we give. Guys, I tell you, one of the things about Jackson and Alcorn State University is they have a rich rivalry between these two teams. We can go all the way back to the Walter Payton days and even before that, but I tell you, one of the things that's really great about this rivalry is the camaraderie between these two teams. But you know what? It's just like anything else. Come game time, the camaraderie is over with, and it's time to talk a little bit of trash. I've been talking to fans all day, and one of the biggest things that they said is, although Jackson cannot compete for the Eastern Division crown, they would like nothing more but to ruin Alcorn State University's chances of hosting the SWAC championship game. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Santoria. And, of course, that's always a big deal when you have a rivalry. If you can't win, you need to spoil your biggest rival. And coming into this one, you look at Alcorn State and Jackson State, because they were only 72 miles apart, they know the same players. They recruit the same players.
That's right. There's going to be a lot of emotion here. There's ties. These guys played high school football against each other, in some cases with each other. And, like we mentioned, if you don't have a chance to compete for a championship, the best thing you can do is play spoiler.
Well, we're getting set for the opening kickoff, and Jackson State will tee it up, so Alcorn State will start on offense whenever we get this ball game underway. So they will have the first opportunity to put points on the board. We will talk about the coaches in just a minute. But you look at this Jackson State team, they've lost a lot of close ball games this year. And Taylor, we did them earlier in the season, and you could see the improvement in this team as the season has gone on.
Yeah, so many close losses, and that's just really a function of how young this team is, and that just comes with youth. And that's something that they're going to build on over time, and you'll see them win a lot of these closer games as these seasons progress.
Okay, Adrian Salazar set to get this one underway, and he has a line drive kick, which is fielded about the 5-yard line. They fake the reverse, and Alcorn is going to be dropped deep in their own territory. A fine tackle there, and that's where they're going to start 1st and 10 on the offensive end. So they were hoping to get a little better field position than that.
Yeah, good job there by Jackson State on the kick return team, staying disciplined with that trickeration.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the coaches while we have a chance. Very interesting coaching matchup today for Alcorn State. Fred McNair is in his 4th season, and what an impressive resume this guy has. He has 3 East Division championships, the 2018 SWAC championship, plus a SWAC Coach of the Year award. So he can obviously coach. Offense is his forte, and then we have movement right away on that offensive line. You can see the J-State players pointing at Jackson State.
Yeah, not how you want to start here on the road with a quick, obviously not great field position, and then 5 yards to back them up.
And on the other side, the coach for the J-State Tigers, John Hendrick, he was an interim last year. This is his first full year, and he has a very talented young squad who's getting better and better each week. So we start with Alcorn State, 1st and 15. The give is straight ahead, and a big, powerful run right there for the Braves, pushing that football forward. It's number 5, Nico Duffy, the 5'11", 175-pound freshman from Tampa, Florida.
That's right. He's got almost 900 yards of total offense and 8 touchdowns already in this season, which is incredible for a freshman.
So Alcorn State now coming up, 2nd down and about 6 yards to go for the 1st down. The pass near the outside is incomplete. So that will be an incomplete pass and bring up a key 3rd down for the Braves. That was the first pass of the game for Felix Harper. He's the young man we talked about during the Open last week. He completed 18 of 27 for 288 yards. But the big thing about Felix Harper might be his poise under pressure, Taylor.
Yeah, he doesn't play like a young guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. Very poised, really balanced, and can make all the throws.
We'll talk more about him in just a minute. But here is that key 3rd down play coming up for the Braves. Harper with time on the slant pattern has a man wide open, and that's going to be a 1st down for the Braves. Number 6, Akeem McNair, the coach's son, Fred McNair's son, made the catch, and it's good for a 1st down.
Nice job by Felix Harper. Jackson State gives him a too-high look. They fit the slant in behind it, and that is that's what we were talking about with Felix Harper's accuracy there.
And he does so much when he's back there as a quarterback. They talked about him. He's a better passer than Noah Johnson, the young man who was injured that he replaced. By the way, Noah Johnson, the most valuable player in the SWAC last year. And once again, it's another run forward. And right away, the Braves are establishing that running game. They go right up the middle again. It's Nico Duffy with his 2nd carry, and that one went for big yardage.
Yeah, and this is on brand for Alcorn. To this point in the season, they've outscored their opponents 80-27 in the 1st quarter, so they like to jump on their opponents early and then just ride that wave throughout the rest of the game.
So Alcorn State on the move. It's the first possession of the ball game. We are just underway, 13 minutes, 15 seconds to go here in the 1st quarter. And Harper, again, tried to connect on the slant pattern. He worked the first time. That time the coverage was a little better. His pass was intended for Chris Blair, but a fine defensive play there by the Tigers. Yeah,
nice play by C.J. Holmes, number 3 for Jackson State. That's a guy that Coach Hendrick told us earlier in the week is maybe their leader along with Keontae Hampton on defense. Nice play there by him.
Yeah, he leads the team in passes defended. I mean, he's great. He also has 3 interceptions. So when you talk about a guy in the secondary, he would not be my choice to pick on early in this ball game. So coming up now for Alcorn State, Harper looking to throw it again. Down the sidelines, and he just overshot his receiver. He had a big receiver out there. I think it was number 81. That is Radarius Anderson. And, of course, you talked about him because he has some ability.
Yeah, this is a guy that we talked about, before we came on air, that really good in those 50-50 scenarios. And if you're Felix Harper as a quarterback, you just put a little more air on that. When you throw a line drive, that means your throw's got to be perfect. You put a little more air on it and let him, adjust to it and make a play on the ball.
Coming into this game, the Braves are ranked 5th in the SWAC in rushing yards, averaging 166 a game, and that's exactly what they're doing early in this ball game. This time, Harper looking to throw, has some pressure coming his way, and he just threw that football away. I mean, the rush got to him so quickly, he had to unload a lot faster than he wanted to.
Yeah, and impressed by this Jackson State defense on this first drive. Like we talked about, Alcorn has done such a good job all year getting points in their first drive and points in the first quarter. Really nice for them to get off the field and give their offense a chance to score here.
Well, in Jackson State, we mentioned at the top how J-State is a young team, but they are a very talented team. And as the season has gone long, we mentioned that improvement we've seen from the Tigers. And so it looks like they're going to force a punt coming up from Alcorn State. So the kick is away by Corey McCullough. He hits it high and short. And there will not be a chance for a return on this one. As Warren Newman was back deep for the J-State Tigers, but he backs away from it. So Jackson State will start 1st and 10. And we have a timeout on the field. And we're going to stay here, Taylor. Let's keep it right here. Talk a little bit about this because the Jackson State offense, that means we will see Jalen Jones, the big 6'4", 215-pound freshman, coming out on the field. You know, he's been, coach described him as dynamic. He liked everything about him, said he can make all the throws, but the most important thing he said was he's starting to mature.
Yeah, can make all the throws, and he doesn't have a full season to go off of, right? But he's already got 780 yards passing and 411 yards on the ground to add to that.
Empty backfield for Jones, has some time. Fires underneath, and it's an incompleted pass.
Good job in coverage there by the Alcorn defense. Even though it was an incompletion, I like Jalen Jones moving his feet, shuffling. He had a full field read there going from left to right. But again, a good job by Alcorn there.
Number 21, Jawan Taylor on the coverage for the Braves. So it was J-State starting the ball game off with the pass. You know, they've been effective running the football also. We're going to talk a little bit about their backs in just a minute. Jones again looking to throw on 2nd down. Has a man open on the slant pattern. And that is going to be a 1st down for Jackson State. Number 25, Daniel Crowell, making his first catch of the ball game, and it gives the Tigers a 1st down.
Yeah, they're just playing a simple quarters coverage there, and if you give Jalen Jones and this offense that much room, they're going to make you pay every time. Nice job completing that little skinny slant pattern in there.
Tigers starting with that spread set. Has 3 wide receivers out to Jones's left. Puts a man in motion, so now it's going to be 4 receivers on that side of the field. He's looking that way, has to scramble out of the pocket. Jones is going to keep it, and he's tripped up in the backfield. A nice tackle on the play by A.J. Bruce. Stepping up there, and that was a great open field tackle.
And that's what you got to do, right? If you're rallying to the ball for Alcorn's defense, make the first guy, if you don't make the tackle, at least slow him down so everybody else can swarm there. But really nice job by A.J. Bruce with that open field tackle.
Well, and it looked like Jones might have more room to work when he scrambled out of the pocket. Let's take another look here.
Yeah, he starts going, you know, when you start going towards the sidelines, you got to stick your foot in the ground, get what you can get, pick up some positive yardage there. But again, a nice play by A.J. Bruce.
And that was Jones with another incomplete pass out near the sideline. So both teams, you know, kind of trying to find their way early in this ball game, trying to work it out there. And this time Jackson State, so they picked up a 1st down, trying to continue this drive as they go down the field. We have 11:25 here in the 1st quarter. No score between Alcorn State and Jackson State. And I noticed they're staying in that open backfield, that empty backfield formation. So here's Jalen Jones. He's already rushed for over 400 yards this year. Looking to pass. This one had a lot of time. Fires one deep, and there was a miscommunication, and it's intercepted on the play by the Braves. Number 22, Terrence Wilson, still on his feet. Wilson dancing down the sidelines before he's finally knocked out of bounds. But, Taylor, I don't know. We're going to take another look at that, but it appeared to be a miscommunication on the route because there were 3 gold jerseys waiting for that football.
There was, and I'm waiting to see here if we're going to get an offsides. It looked like they may have gotten them to jump, and that leads me to think that Jalen Jones thought he had a free play. And, yeah, like you said, it looked like they had some sort of vertical that he thought he had downfield. But waiting to see if we had an offsides. If we don't, then this is obviously a huge play.
Great play by Torrance Wilson, number 22, who's a 6'1", 195-pounder. He's a senior from Lakeland, Florida. And, boy, what a play to come up with. A big impact play as you take a look at Alcorn State's offense. They're averaging 31 points a game. That's ranked 4th in the SWAC. And when you talk about total yards, it's 409. And they go back to the running game. And this time, J-State just shut that down.
Yeah, going back to that interception, I've got to imagine as a quarterback that Jalen Jones thought he had a free play there because that was, you could tell he really forced one that he didn't need to. And obviously this is a huge swing in momentum, giving a prolific offense like Alcorn a short field like this.
So that puts up 2nd down, 10 yards to go for the Braves. We talked about their offense, how they're scoring 31 a game, and this time it's blown up in the backfield. The ball is loose, and it's recovered by J-State. Big number 98, C.J. Anderson, is there to make the recovery, but what a big play by the Tigers on defense.
Yeah, this is just a bust up front by Alcorn, and a great job by C.J. Anderson going right to the mesh point between quarterback and running back and blowing this play up. Incredible. I mean, that was all on C.J. Anderson right there. Great play by him.
Boy, he just dominated. The big guy got that good penetration, and when you get penetration like that in the backfield, you can blow things up, and that's exactly what happened on that play.
And, yeah, now that interception is now washed away. It's a big play.
So the first big break of the game goes back to Jackson State because after the interception, Alcorn was in great field position, but now the football goes back over to Jackson. And they go with the run around the left side, and they push forward for about 4 yards as the Tigers go to their running game, and that's number 22, Keyshawn Harper.
Yeah, Keyshawn Harper's a guy, 760 yards on the year, six and a half yards a carry, and 3 touchdowns. Another solid back that JSU will feature.
They have a couple of backs. We're going to see a lot of different numbers in the backfield. Harper, number 22. 23 is Kamani Clark. We'll also see some action today. And nowhere to go as the Braves come up with a big defensive play on Kamani Clark. Stopped him in the backfield. His teammates call him Chemo, but Chemo had nowhere to go on that one.
And this is tough. This is back-to-back drives that you don't pick up good yardage on second down. You put yourself in a 3rd and long. Last time we saw an interception. And if you're trying to help out a young quarterback, get it to second and medium, and especially 3rd and medium or 3rd and short.
3rd and 8 coming up now for the Tigers. Of course, Chemo Clark, a true freshman. They're very excited about him, and they like his balance and his vision, but this is another key down for the Jackson State offense. Jalen Jones has to scramble out of the pocket, pulls up, fires underneath, has a man, a nice catch, and that's going to be a first down for the Tigers from Jackson State. Nice play by Warren Newman, number 6, making the catch. He found the open spot and just settled down.
Let me tell you what, this is one of the throws when you go into your meeting with the quarterback room, the quarterback coach will say, hey, if you make it, great, but if you don't, you're going to be in trouble, because he throw late across the middle like this, that's when mistakes happen. But this one, great job by Jalen Jones of just making a play. But I tell you what, those are Brett Favre throws. They're risky throws.
You kind of hold your breath on those until he makes the catch. And this time we have a mix-up in the backfield. Jones will keep it, and he is cracked down hard. Number 21 on the play, Jawan Taylor, up there just to make sure he was down, came up with a big hit.
Yeah, that almost looked like Jalen Jones wasn't expecting the snap. What they're doing, and this is what we see, this is so popular in college football, is the clap. And then, yeah, we've got a mix up here with the running back going to either running back or quarterback going to the wrong side. You know, we won't know, but they've had early on, JSU's had a good job getting Alcorn to jump, clapping early.
So the Tigers go back to the running game. They go forward, and it's Clark weaving his way through traffic before 21 Taylor is there for another stop, but Clark making his presence felt. When we talked to Coach this week, one of the things he said about Clark was the vision and his ability to cut.
Yeah, Chemo Clark was a guy that he was really excited about, and 275 yards on the year, not a ton of carries, but they're featuring him more as the season goes on.
So J-State, they're doing what they do best. We were talking about their running game. They're averaging over 200 yards a game, rushing yards, which puts them about 4th in the SWAC, and they're coming out trying to establish that run today.
Yeah, over 300 yards on the ground against Alabama A&M, and this is something that they're going to feature this throughout the game.
Tigers taking their time. We mentioned the true freshman. Jalen Jones is the quarterback. Coach has rotated all 3 quarterbacks this year, but has settled on Jones over the last 4 weeks since he has won the position. And this time, he did get the handoff off, but there's not much room to go inside. There's just not a lot going on right there.
Yeah, and I think, again, we're going to get offsides here. Alcorn State was looking to bring pressure, and it looked like we got a flag.
And that was Jordan Johnson, the senior, with his first carry of the ball game. And they have so many talented running backs, as you see the mark off there.
Yeah, that's Alcorn State just getting a little too aggressive. They brought that nickel blitz off the edge, and you're trying to time up that snap, and he got over the line just a little bit. So this will be first down here from the 30.
First down for the Tigers. They have had a consistent drive underway here. The give this time in the backfield, and once again, the Braves are quickly into the backfield to make the stop. 38, Tyson Alexander with the carry, his first carry of the ball game, and he's one of those freshman backs. Tyson Alexander, Kamani Clark are two of the guys. They're young kids, but he said, boy, can both of those guys get up and go. And he told us both to expect to see them in the thick of it on game day.
That's right, and it's atypical to see this many backs that you can rotate and really not see any drop-off in any one of them.
This time, Jones passes out toward the sidelines. Has a man, but a fine defensive play there. The pass is complete to D.D. Bowie, but number 1, Dalen Burks. That's how you want to break on the football.
Yeah, great job by Dalen Burks here. Another open field tackle. This is so paramount to making sure that these guys don't get yards after catch.
You know, Taylor, when you're trying to rotate so many backs in the ball game, what does that do for your momentum? I know some guys like to carry the ball a little bit. They like to get into the flow of the game. Do you feel that's kind of disruptive? Or?
You know, I always felt like our running backs appreciated when they got a breather after a handful of plays, because not only are they carrying the ball, but they're mixing it up in protection as well.
Well, it keeps everybody alert to what's going on the field. You have to pay attention. That is an incompleted pass on a big hit by number 21, Jawan Taylor, who's been all over the field early in this ballgame.
One of the leaders of this Alcorn State defense, Jawan Taylor, coming up and making his presence felt with this physical tackle right here. And you see here, Jalen Jones just working through his progression, trying to hit the over, gets to it a little bit late, and that's where Jawan Taylor's able to make up that ground, come up and make a really nice pass breakup.
So that will bring up a field goal attempt for the Tigers. Adrian Salazar, who's 10 of 17 on the year. And now we're going to have a timeout on the field, so maybe they're going to talk about this. It was going to be a 45-yard attempt. We will see what they do in just a minute. Let's pause for a timeout. No score. Alcorn State, Jackson State. We are in the first quarter. Okay, when we left you, Jackson State was thinking about taking a field goal attempt. Adrian Salazar back out on the field. From the spot, it looks like it's going to be a 47-yard attempt from Salazar, a 6-foot, 170-pound senior from Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, he's 10 of 17 on the year, has a long of 44, so this would be his longest attempt of the year. So a good snap and a good hold, and it looks like it's going to be a fake. And it's not going to work. What a play by the Braves. They did not sleep on that one.
And that's just a sign of a disciplined coaching staff and team from Alcorn State. What you tell your guys, they know, well, this wasn't a fake here. This was just a botched hold here. I was going to say coming out of break, Adrian Salazar's long was 44. I was surprised to see them give him a shot here. It looked like it was going to – initially we thought this was a fake, but just a botched snap and a break for Alcorn State. Yeah,
after the missed snap on the field goal, let's pause for a timeout. Still no score here in Jackson.
All that, switch to Chromebook.
Here's another look at that field goal attempt as Jordan Johnson bobbled the snap.
Yeah, this is tough. I mean, and you do the best you can as a holder. And every quarterback's taught this, right? After you drop the ball, try and make a play, try and figure it out, get somebody on the move there. But this is, again, like we said, this is a break for this Alcorn State team.
So once again, their defense, and that's kind of one of those unforced errors there because you didn't execute, so they never had a chance to attempt the 47-yard field goal. So the Braves will go back on offense with Felix Harper, the 5'11", 180-pound junior from Fairburn, Georgia, back on at quarterback. And this time he bobbles the ball and fires on the slant, and it's going to be an incompleted pass.
Yeah, really well defended there by Jackson State. They're just running a simple slant and bubble combination. Nice job out on the edge, again, by C.J. Holmes on another pass breakup.
And we take a look now at the history. This is the 82nd all-time meeting between the two schools. Jackson State actually leads at 44-35 with two ties. Last meeting was 2018, November 17th, and Alcorn was a winner in that one as they went on to win the East. And that time, the pass from Harper is off the fingertips of his receiver, and they continue to test C.J. Holmes out there on the right side.
They did, yeah, and they had a guy open out here. I believe that was number 7, Tim McNair Jr., but just slipped at the top of his route.
And that's tough because the quarterback, everything is timing between quarterback and receiver, and the slightest little thing can throw that timing off, and that's exactly what happened there. You know, right now, Harper is second in the SWAC with 2,113 yards passing, but more impressive than that, he has 25 TD passes. So Felix Harper here on third down. Floats one, it's incomplete. We do have a flag down, and it may have been holding in the secondary.
Yeah, JSU's looking at they're going a man free here, and they're just got to let your guy get. You can't mug them up once they get 5 yards downfield. You got to let them go, and we're getting PI here.
There we have the call, and it's an automatic first down for the Braves, so that will move the sticks, and the drive will continue. And just how deflating is that for a defense when you do your job and then all of a sudden you have a penalty that gives the other team a first down?
Yeah, it's tough because really Jackson State is playing well right now against this Alcorn State offense, and in the right spot, making tackles, making plays, and you're right. And to extend a drive like that is tough.
So Felix Harper, once again, hands inside. Some running room is there for number 24, Jonathan Bolton. He's a 6 foot, 190-pounder from Purvis, Mississippi. Last week, Bolton rushed for 30 yards on 5 carries.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised for Alcorn here if they start to, continue to establish this ground game. To this point, where they've moved the ball has really been on the ground, struggled throwing the ball, and see if they can take over this drive on the ground.
Second down and about 6 for the Braves. He dumps it over near the sidelines. A nice completed pass there. It goes to Bolton, who hauls it in, and that's going to set up a 3rd and short.
Yeah, first time we've called Keontae Hampton's name, number 40, linebacker for Jackson State, with a really good physical tackle there. This guy's got 102 tackles on the season, and as a guy that Coach John Hendrick described as a leader and can see it before it happens. Very instinctive player.
So we have movement up front, but everybody's no harm, no foul on the play as the Braves try to change the play. Big 3rd down coming up. The handoff goes inside, and it's going to be a first down for the Braves from Alcorn State.
Another physical run for Alcorn. What you saw there a second ago with that player jump off sides, if the offensive line doesn't flinch and that defender can get back, they're not going to call defensive offsides. That's where you teach your center, snap it while they're still offsides. But another good physical run here by Alcorn to move the chains.
That was Nico Duffy, the freshman who's 5th in the SWAC right now in rushing. And they're doing a good job of keeping their backs fresh. Also is another first down for the Braves. Harper hands it straight ahead again to Duffy. And he moves forward for about 3 yards before he's stacked up. Tell me some of your impressions so far of Felix Harper in this ballgame as far as managing the game.
Right now, Jackson State's doing a good job. They're playing pretty close, tight man. They're not playing very much off coverage. And so we haven't seen any of the downfield completions that we're used to from Felix Harper. But you see right now, Jackson State is loading the box. They've got guys close to the line of scrimmage. They're not playing off coverage right now, and that's going to force your quarterback to be accurate. That means those windows are going to be a little bit smaller.
So Harper still in at quarterback. Gives the handoff, and the back is hit in the backfield and dropped for a loss. A fine play by number 92. That is Justin Rajan getting into the backfield and making a big play on Nico Duffy.
And we've seen that, from Justin and from C.J. Anderson, those interior defensive linemen for Jackson State really making their impact felt early on.
And you can see that Jackson State defense has got better and better. That ranking, they're a lot better than that 9th ranking, allowing 35.3 points a game. They've gotten better, and as you see the total yards there, 410 yards per game. That ranks 7th in the SWAC. So Harper brings out his team again. This time with some time to throw, looking downfield, has a man open, and it's going to be a touchdown for the Braves from Alcorn State. A great pass from Felix Harper, and that is complete to LaCharles Pringle, number 82, who just beat his man and made a great catch.
And that's why we led off talking about Felix Harper, is because of throws like this. This is dropping it in the bucket, hitting your guy in stride. It's a perfect ball, and again, like that tight man coverage, these windows are small. That was a perfect throw. Really nice pitch and catch there from Felix Harper.
You gotta like the way they just waited their time. You knew the quick strike over the top was going to come, But they showed patience, and then boom, they go over the top and hit for the touchdown.
And that's what you risk when you play that tight man-free coverage, is if somebody gets by you, there's no help there.
So the kick is up, and it is good by the Braves. So as we take a timeout, the Alcorn State Braves are out in front. They lead Jackson State 7-0. We are still late in the first quarter.
I like that, man. That's good.
And we have just under 2 minutes to go here in the first quarter as the Alcorn State Braves have jumped out in front. They lead Jackson State 7-0 on the virtue of that Felix Harper touchdown pass to LaCharles Pringle. Over the top, good catch, good throw, and that put the Braves out in front 7-0.
Yeah, and this is where if you're Jackson State and if you've got this young team that's really been battling all year, how do you come back and respond?
And they're going to have an opportunity to do that right here. You look at the Braves, and so much history there. They have won 6 consecutive titles in the East. That's a pretty dominant performance there when you look at it. And for Coach McNair, he's won the last 3 of those 6 in a row. Yeah,
if you establish yourself like that in conference, that's obviously impressive. And this is what we talked about with Jackson State. Hey, you've got an opportunity to play spoiler and make sure that Alcorn's not able to host. And that's really what you're fighting for here. But like you said, you know, at any level, if you win your side of the conference 6 times in a row and play for a SWAC championship, that's very impressive.
And the Braves go with a short kick. It's going to be fielded by the Tigers, and they get it up over the 40-yard line. So Jackson State took this drive off with excellent field position with the football resting at about the 41-yard line. Let's look at the last 2 games rushing the football for Jackson State, and that's pretty doggone impressive numbers.
Yeah, these are rush numbers that you see from the academies, right? This is Army running the ball 50 times a game. And so this is what we're going to, obviously they feature this. And with a young quarterback like Jalen Jones, this is how you protect your quarterback. If you can run this effectively, it helps you manage the game and allows him, that opens up those pass plays downfield that he's been able to hit in the last few weeks.
So Jalen Jones, he's had a couple of drives. This time he starts with the pass under pressure, and he just had to throw that football away because the Braves were in the backfield right in his face.
Yeah, only a 3-man route concept here, and a good job by Alcorn in coverage. And, again, also a good job by Jalen Jones getting rid of the ball and not taking a sack.
And the officials will want to talk this over in the backfield here, and as they try to straighten it out.
It felt like he was out of the pocket. Yeah, they're not going to. There won't be intentional grounding here. I think they were discussing whether or not he was outside of the pocket.
Yeah, but you could see him ranging to his left a little bit there before he threw that ball away. So coming into the ball game, Jackson State, as far as SWAC records, Jackson State 3-3 in SWAC, Alcorn State 5-1. But this is a rivalry as we have whistles down on the field, and we will see what the officials have.
Yeah, we're just going to they're resetting the play clock here. I think that was running as Jackson State was lining up, and it had gone all the way down.
So they will restart and reset. 2nd down coming up for the Tigers. The Braves setting up like they're coming on the blitz, and they do come. Good protection for a while, but then it breaks down, and Jones is going to be sacked in the backfield.
Yeah, again, very impressed with this Alcorn State defense. This is a coverage sack right here. This is no blown assignments in the secondary, and Jalen Jones is working through his reads trying to find the open guy, and there's just nobody open, and that pocket collapses around him.
Solomon Muhammad in the backfield forcing the pressure, and just really a lot of heat coming. You could see the Braves walk up into that blitz, and they came with it, and it was just they had too many men. It was just too many men to pick up on the play, so Jones is going to be sacked. And that's going to bring up a 3rd and about 13 yards to go for the Tigers. Jalen Jones has 3 receivers to his right. He's under pressure again, scrambles out of the pocket, still looking downfield, being chased in, and he just throws the football away. So the Braves, right now, they're doing an outstanding job of getting heat on Jones in the pocket.
Yeah, that time on a 3rd and long, they blitzed and brought a couple extra, and this is what we're seeing from Alcorn right now. Early on, they've been able to get pressure with 4, and then especially when you see them in a blitz package like that, able to disrupt Jalen Jones and get off the field and get the ball back to their offense.
Taylor, how important is it, even when they do not get to Jones, when they force him to one side of the field like that, you would think it would limit his options as far as finding receivers.
Yeah, these interior defensive linemen, Darrell Henderson is another guy that we saw on the last possession. When you're able to get pressure with 4 in the interior, that's going right into the lap of the quarterback, and it makes it so hard to work through your progressions. And even if you're not getting a sack or forcing a turnover, it's still so paramount to getting that offense off the field.
Zach Glayton is on to punt it away for the Tigers. Gets a low line drive, and it bounces all the way down. Looks like it scooted inside of the 20-yard line. We will see where the officials put it down. But Glayton, who's averaging 36 yards per kick, does have a long of 53, so he will set the Braves up back inside of their 20-yard line.
And we'll see here how we come out with Felix Harper on the last drive. Obviously hit the big home run shot for the touchdown, but to this point, their bread and butter moving the ball has just been running between the tackles. They've gotten really good push up front with this offensive line.
So the Braves take over 1st and 10 with the football just shy of their own 20-yard line. Felix Harper has gone all the way. He's gone all the way since the 3rd game of the year when he took over. And this time he's going to pass. Has a man again with some room, and he makes a beautiful pass. He just laid that one in there to Chris Blair. Great over-the-shoulder catch, but what a pass by Felix Harper.
Yeah, this is what we talked about with Felix Harper being able to make all the throws. Just drops this again. Really nice touch here. We saw him miss one early on, and then the last 2 deep balls he's thrown, he's putting more air on it. Really good job. Very accurate deep ball.
And the clock keeps going, and that will do it. We are done with the first quarter. It is history. And as we pause for a timeout, the Alcorn State Braves, they're out in front. They lead Jackson State 7-0. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
I like that, man. That's good.
And we are ready to start the second quarter with the Alcorn State Braves on the move again. They have the football, just picked up a big first down as they're now going the opposite direction, going from left to right on your screen. See the Braves with the gold uniform, gold jerseys, gold pants, and the handoff goes inside. That'll be number 5, Nico Duffy, who, by the way, was the SWAC Newcomer of the Week for his 17 carries for 100 yards last week. He also had a touchdown.
Yeah, and this is tough when you're Jackson State. You see this interior blitz. They bring 2 right up the middle. Alcorn runs right into the teeth of it and still picks up 5. That's just a sign that Alcorn's running the ball really effectively early on.
And you look at the Braves' offense, I mean, they're ranked right in the middle. They're 5th in passing and 5th in rushing in the SWAC, so they can do whatever the situation dictates. This time, Harper under pressure gets away, still rolling to his right, and the pass near the sideline is going to be an incompleted pass. But again, with his legs, keeping the play alive, Felix Harper as he scrambles out to the left side.
That was a really nice pass breakup here, but you see Jackson State is really bringing a lot of pressure early on, and that's really what they're going to have to do to disrupt Felix Harper, not let him work through his progressions and keep his feet set.
We have a big 3rd down coming up for the Braves now, and we're getting seen both defensive squads do that. You know, they're trying to bring pressure and make the offensive teams come up with big plays. And we'll see what the offensive coordinator, Elliott Ratton, has called here on a big 3rd down play for the Braves. Wide open out there near the sidelines. It's a completed pass to Blair, Chris Blair, and I think he might be just a little shy of the first down. Let's see where they mark it.
Yeah, this is what every offensive coordinator tries to come up with, this play where it's really a legal pick play where you bring somebody in from the outside, you get your quarterback on the move, and you have your inside guy on a 2 to 3 yard route into the flat and create that legal pick where you pick that inside guy. Really nice play design there.
Pass near the sidelines. Again from Harper. That previous pass was good for a first down, so that was a first down for the Braves. And they come right back with another completion near the sidelines. So just like that, you can see the Braves picking up the tempo a little bit on offense.
Yeah, and this feels like what we're used to from Alcorn on offense, more balanced, mixing it up, running between the tackles, and then getting Felix Harper on the edge. Good job so far in this series.
13 minutes, 13:20 to go here in the second quarter. Felix Harper turns and hands straight up the middle. That is Nico Duffy again on the carry. And he picks up another short gain. That's a very interesting point you made earlier. They're just running the ball straight up the gut, but they're getting 3 and 4 yards a shot.
Yeah, play design has been really important for Alcorn. You see them bring the tight end over to seal the edge, but all of this really, the success running the ball has been between the tackles, and that's just a sign of an offensive line pushing back and winning against the defensive line.
As you can see that, we talked about that just a minute ago. Nico Duffy, the newcomer of the week, is 17 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown last week in a win over Alabama A&M. And this time, it's Harper back to Pringle for another touchdown. Last week, they combined for 3 touchdown passes, and they're back at it again. Harper to Pringle for another touchdown, and Alcorn State goes out in front, 13-0.
What a connection these two have. And again, you see Felix Harper accurate. I mean, that is the perfect spot. The only place this ball can't be is behind him, and he does a great job leading his receiver, LaCharles Pringle, another touchdown. Great pitch and catch there.
Those two guys are on the same page. Last week for Pringle, 4 catches, 113 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And right away, they're picking up right where they left off. He has 2 touchdown receptions today, and the Braves find themselves out in front. As we see this extra point attempt coming up, it's about to be 14-0 if he can convert.
And it only ended up 7-0 at the end of the first quarter, but this is the MO for Alcorn. They jump on people early, and we see that a lot of times. The second quarter's been where there might be a little lull for them, but par for the course for them, jumping on an opponent early.
And we've seen them do it. They did it on the ground, and they're doing it with great balance on offense. As we take a look here.
Yeah, and this is for Alcorn. Obviously, they've already clinched the Eastern Division, but with a win today, they're going to host the SWAC championship game, and that's what we led off talking about. That's really what Jackson State is playing for in this game, is in this rivalry. Hey, we want to make sure that they don't have an opportunity to host. But going back to Alcorn, so much success, and obviously so impressive for Coach McNair and his staff.
Yeah, and when you look at that, you talk about impressive, 6 consecutive years winning the East. First team to ever play in 6 straight SWAC championships. With a win today, though, they will host. And you mentioned that's the key thing, because on the other side, Jackson State would like nothing better than to stop them from hosting that game. And that way would be Grambling or Southern hosting the SWAC championship. And the extra point attempt is good. And just like that, the Braves break out in front. 14-0 behind the strong left arm of Felix Harper. 2 TD passes to LaCharles Pringle, and his team is in the driver's seat.
I like that, man. That's good.
And welcome back, everyone. And we've just had a lot of excitement on the field. And I'm going to recap what happened real quick. Of course, Alcorn State was kicking off after that, but Jackson State found themselves. Let's take a look at what happened on the kickoff return, and Alcorn State ended up with the football.
And this is just so tough as a team that's you've got so many young guys making a big play here on special teams, and then you cough it up. And this just speaks to why Alcorn is what they are, why they're so good, able to force a turnover there and get another short field.
That was Josh Littles on the return. He was hit. It was a nice return. They were going to have great field position, and then he's hit, and the ball pops out. And just like that, the Braves from Alcorn State have the football again, and they will go back to work on offense. And if I'm a defensive backs coach, you don't have to guess who I'm going to double cover here.
Yeah,
82.
absolutely.
So Felix Harper is right back in great scoring position with the Braves. Steps up in the pocket, fires underneath, and he's high. He had a man open, and it's going to be an incompleted pass as he shoots it a little high. But once again, J-State had the pressure coming on Felix Harper.
Yeah, J-State pass rush gets up the field on his arm side. He's got to shuffle up, forces the incompletion there. Good job on defense.
So here comes Harper walking back to the line of scrimmage here. Calling out the plays, and this is a big series of downs for Jackson State on defense. They have to come up with a big stop after the turnover here to try to keep their offense in the ballgame. And the power run this time goes nowhere. A lot of Tigers up there, including Vincent McIntosh, big number 44, one of the first guys to get there, and he made a stop. Just when we talked about them having to come up with a big stop, Vincent McIntosh delivered.
And there you see J-State bow up in that interior defensive line. Alcorn State's, like we've talked about, had that success running between the tackles. A nice job in the interior there to bow up and get that stop on second down to force a third and long.
So this is going to be a huge down coming up for the Braves. You see number 24, Jonathan Bolton, to the right of Felix Harper, number 2. Harper with a little time in the pocket, has a man open, but a great defensive play right there by number 40, Keontae Hampton. Some say he's the best defensive player in the SWAC, and we got an idea of just how talented he is on that play right there.
Yeah, we knew we were going to call his name a lot today, and they're running sort of a too-high look down here, and he's got the interior. He's got the middle of the field, and when he sees this inside receiver getting behind him, he extends to the inside, does a really nice job defending this because over top of him, if he doesn't make this play, this is a touchdown. Really nice job there by Keontae Hampton.
Yeah, there was an open receiver behind him. You see Hampton, 102 tackles, which leads the SWAC. He's averaging 13 tackles for loss so far. That's 3rd in the SWAC. So the field goal attempt by Corey McCullough now. It'll be a 35-yard attempt, 34-yard attempt. McCullough's kick is up, and it is good. And so the Braves are playing add-on. They came on and adding on a little bit with that field goal attempt right there. And just like that, Alcorn extends the lead to 17-0 over Jackson State. We'll be back in just a minute.
Can't take my eyes off you.
Free one-day delivery, video, music, and more. With Prime.
11:22 to go here in the second quarter, and Alcorn State here in the Soul Bowl with a convincing 17-0 lead so far over Jackson State. So we see the Braves getting set to kick it back to Jackson State. Last time it did not go too well for the Tigers as they fumble the ball on the kickoff return and led to 3 points. And here we go. And once again, the Tigers will try it again on the return. It's 41 Littles again. And this time he's going to be dropped short of the 30-yard line. Josh Little on the return. So that is where the Tigers will start. 1st and 10 behind Jalen Jones, the 6'4", 215-pound freshman. And so far, the Tigers have been trying to get their running game going, and it's worked, but not enough because they picked up a couple of first downs, but each time the drive just seems to go away.
Yeah, they've stalled a couple times. Really would, if you're JSU, you want to see those 2nd down and 3rd down and manageable instead of so many 3rd and longs.
So Jones, hands in the backfield. And that's going to be no gain on the play. Keyshawn Harper on the carry. And he just didn't have any place to go as Jackson State. They came up and, Alcorn State came up and made a big play on defense to stop him with a short gain there.
Nice
short gain.
Yeah, nice sure tackle again by A.J. Bruce. And we've seen that from Alcorn early on. Is not a lot of missed tackles, which is what you see normally out of good teams.
Actually lost a yard on that play, so it's going to bring up 2nd down and 11 for the Tigers. And they go back to the running game inside. And this time it's Clark, and he's going to be tripped up after a short game. We do have an injured Tiger on the field, but he appears to be getting up.
Yeah, and for Jackson State, we talked about how they've had injured player here for Jackson State that looks like Cedric Dunbar, who's Coach John Hendrick talked earlier in the week about how special this guy is. Hopefully he's okay.
He raved on and on about this guy. He said, he's a sophomore. He said he's going to be something special. He's one of the guys they like to run behind. They like to do the game plan behind. And it's really tough to see him down early in this ball game. Cedric Dunbar, 6'5", 340-pound sophomore from Natchez, Mississippi. And he's one of the outstanding guys on that offensive line for Jackson State.
And yeah, early on, you talk about this Alcorn State team has come out and been, well, and we'll shift here to this Jackson State offense. A lot of this has been impacted in the last few weeks. When you have rushing performances over 300 yards, that's really going to impact. You see total yards there over 410 a game. And, they come out true to form, and they're really trying to establish the run. But this Alcorn State defense, and especially up front, is making that difficult for them right now.
And that's the thing about it. They're a very young team, and they've had a lot of close games. And one of the things Coach mentioned to us was, and that's You know, he's trying to go off on his own power there, so that's kind of a good sign. Big Cedric Dunbar being helped over to the sidelines. But one of the things Coach said about this young team was they've had so many close games that he feels like they can make improvement because they're all young. They can be in these situations and they can learn from them.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said it feels like some of these they've given away, which is tough. That's one of, you know, when you turn the film on Sunday and you come back in to watch it, you say, man, there were so many opportunities for us to win this game. And that just comes with getting your guys experience. And you'll see those converted into wins in years to come for JSU as they get as these guys get older.
Okay, a big third down situation coming up for the Tigers. They would love to keep this drive going. A blitz on the play, but they do a good job of picking it up. And Jones' pass is short. I'm not sure who he was going for with that one, but it's kind of hits in no man's land, and it's an incompleted pass.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was trying to throw a back shoulder here, but had a guy up the seam he was going after. And this is another nice stop for Alcorn. Get a chance to put more points on the board.
Well, that's a big drive, and I'm interested to see what you think about this because as Zach Gleaton comes on to kick it away for the Tigers, they're rapidly getting into a situation where they're going to have to transition from the run to the pass because of what's on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it's tough when you're a team like Jackson State that runs the ball so well, and you get in a scenario like this where you're down because, like you said, they're not a quick strike offense, and it's hard to come back in situations like this. So they need to get a stop. A big play is really what they need: a turnover, flip the field, get momentum back on their side.
Gleaton's punt is touchdown on the 34-yard line, so that is where the Braves will take over. And so far, I mean, they've generated 17 points. Done a good job, come away with 2 turnovers, a fumble and an interception. So they're being very opportunistic today on the road, playing in a hostile environment at Jackson State.
And, you know, this is one of the best things about college football. Jackson State's not really playing for anything ultimately. They're not going to a championship. But this stadium's packed, and that's what rivalry games are all about. And that's what makes college football so great is days like today. We'll see here Alcorn coming back on offense. We'll see what they can come up with.
So Alcorn State setting up on offense, 1st and 10 from the 34. Felix Harper fires out near the sidelines. It's a completed pass to number 81. That is Redarius Anderson who makes the catch for a gain of about 4 on the play, so bring it up 2nd down and short.
Anderson was a guy that Coach Fred McNair talked earlier about, really great in 50-50 scenarios. When you put a ball up there, let him high point it, he's really good in those scenarios.
Well, he has so much size. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. I mean, you're going to be a lot bigger than most defensive backs in that situation. This time, Harper gives straight ahead, and fighting for that extra yardage is Nico Duffy, the freshman from Tampa.
Yeah, going back, you'll just see they pull a guard around. Really good job following his block to pick up a good 4 physical yards.
And right now, as we watch Alcorn State on the attack, I mean, they've passed the football well, they've run the football well. They've had a very balanced attack, and that makes for a big problem for that J-State defense as to what do you have to defend against.
And that's a balanced attack, right? That's what you see from good teams is they're able to dictate, hey, we want to pound the rock or we're going to be able to throw the ball effectively.
And once again, the Braves continue to push forward. Kevon Marsh this time on the carry, and he has a big hole, and Marsh just turns on the Jets and picks up a 1st down.
A touchdown-saving tackle there by C.J. Holmes. I don't know that he would have been stopped if C.J. misses that tackle.
And so now we hear some oohing and ahhing in the stands there as number 44, Vincent McIntosh. That may have been just a little frustration on the play as McIntosh swung the running back down.
Yeah, just a hair late, but in a rivalry game like this, as long as it's not egregious, you're probably not going to see those calls.
There it is. C.J. Anderson also helping out on the tackle, but C.J. stopped. McIntosh hit. So 1st and 10 as Felix Harper goes downtown. A little contact on the play. And we see flags all over the field. So there was contact. He was trying to hit number 11, Chris Blair. And they were both pushing and shoving on the play. We'll see how the officials call this one.
This looks like it'll be on, holding on C.J. Holmes. We'll get a call from the ref here. Yeah, for C.J. Holmes, it's tough. They've given up a couple deep balls, and you want him to be physical, but ultimately you got to let him go at some point and look back to the ball and just try to make a play on the ball.
Yeah, that was a tough one. So that's going to set up a first down and move the ball deep into scoring range, of course, for the Alcorn Braves. Harper turns and just hands it away, and boy, we have seen some big holes on that offensive line and some pretty swift moves right there by number 5, Nico Duffy. Talk about some slick moves. He was creating his own space right there with a nice move on the play in a big game.
This is such a good move right about here. Stop and start, get back out on the edge. Really nice play there to put them inside the 5-yard line, almost a touchdown there.
You know, this guy's recruited by like 12 and 13 colleges out of high school. This time we have some problems in the backfield, and Harper is going to be taken down by number 11, Tyler Rogers, who dropped him for a loss in the backfield.
And this will drive you crazy as an offensive coordinator. They go into the pistol, and you're just running zone out of a pistol formation. And again, we saw this earlier with Jackson State, but you don't know if it's the quarterback or the running back, but one of them has gone the wrong way and flipped the mesh.
So a loss of about 2 on the play. Braves will come back on second down. Second and goal to go. Harper. And that's going to be a touchdown pass to Juan Anthony. Harper on the sprint out to the left side. Of course, he's a left-handed quarterback, and Juan Anthony wide open hauls it in for another touchdown.
Really nice play design here. They do it again where they get a legal pick play. They bring a guy in motion to identify that this is man coverage, get a guy out in the flat with that legal pick. Really nice touchdown there, the third of the day for Felix Harper.
So on to attempt the extra point, number 34, Greg Blue. He hit the field goal just a minute ago, and now he's going to be trying to tack on an extra point. We do have whistles on the play, but Blue's kick is up, and it is good as he splits the uprights. And just like that, the Braves from Alcorn State taking a commanding lead after the third touchdown pass of the day from Felix Harper. What a job the lefty has done here in the first half.
To be true, can't take my eyes off you.
Free one-day delivery, video, music, and more. With Prime.
So far, it's been all Alcorn State here in the first half at Jackson State as the Braves find themselves out in front 24-0. Felix Harper with 3 touchdown passes. The first one to 33 yards, and then he just kept pouring it in. He's
lived up to everything, all the hype that we talked about leading up to this game, and very accurate. He's shown, the ability to throw on the move, to throw in the pocket, and made really good decisions thus far. Having a great start to this game.
So the kickoff goes out of bounds, and that will be a penalty against the Braves from Alcorn State. So that will set Jackson State up in great field position here as we come closing in on the first half here in the second quarter. 6:36 to go. And Jackson State would love to get some points on the board right before the half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Jackson State, on the sideline, you're just telling them, hey, let's just chip away at this a little bit at a time. Let's get some points on this drive, whatever it looks like. Don't look at the scoreboard right now. You're not going to be. There's not a 24-point play, right? So we got to just chip away at this a little bit at a time. Let's get something on the board late in this second quarter.
Jalen Jones has gone all the way today at quarterback, and mostly the attack from the Tigers have come on the ground. It's been their rushing attack that's led the way. I mean, they have not done much in the passing game so far. So we will see as they start 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. This time Jones has a man open, completes the pass. And that is D.D. Bowie trying to break a tackle, trying to make something happen, but could not quite get away. And we have an injured player on the field. And it's for the Alcorn State Braves.
Now you see Alcorn State bring this many guys down into the box. They're just, they're daring Jalen Jones in this offense to complete a pass right now. And, with the defensive player down right here, obviously we hope he's okay. Trying to identify who this is. It looks like
Jerron Jackson, the 6'3", 250-pound sophomore from Lakeland, Florida. He's number 30, and he's talking, and it looks like it might be a problem with his foot or his ankle down there.
And, obviously hope that Jerron is okay. looking back at this that completion from Jalen Jones, that's something, they've struggled to this point in the game throwing the ball, and that's Alcorn's answer is going to be to bring guys closer to the line of scrimmage, load the box, and they're going to have to complete the football to move the ball in the second half.
I wonder for most of the season, as you can see over there, Jerron Jackson limping off the field with a little help at the top of your screen, limping off. But looking at the situation being down 24-0, Coach told us during the phone call that Jalen Jones had separated himself from the other two quarterbacks, but I wonder about a situation like this if they would not go back to Ponder, who was the better passer of the two, just dictating the situation in the game right now. But we'll have to wait and see. Tigers with the football now. This time he gives straight ahead, and nice power running there. Moving is Jordan Johnson, the senior, the 5'11", 205-pounder, playing in his last Soul Bowl. And he's one of the guys that Coach told us about. He talked about Clark. He talked about Keyshawn Harper, and he also talked about Jordan Johnson. They all could figure into this ball game. And this time, there's nowhere to go. He tried to go right back up the middle again. Get the read on the zone read, and Johnson just had no daylight whatsoever inside.
Huge push up front. That's the first thing you notice is this defensive line just getting tons of push back and blowing this play up before it even starts. And that's really on both sides of the ball why Alcorn has taken over this game and why they're up 24-0 is offensive and defensive lines for them have really dominated to this point.
So the Tigers will have to kick it away. Zach Gleaton will be back on to punt the football away, and he does. And it's a short kick, but it takes a Tigers bounce, and it's finally going to be touchdown. Right there by number 21 from Jackson State, doing a good job. That is to Noah Alex, touching it down. So the Braves from Alcorn State will go back on the attack. And you know what? Everything has gone their way so far in the first half. And we talked a little bit about their offense being really balanced and how they're ranked 5th in the SWAC in passing and 5th in the SWAC against running. And they're showing that today by doing a little bit of everything in this ball game.
Yeah, we've seen it all from them. The running the ball effectively in the tackles. Really good job by Felix Harper, like we talked about, with the downfield passing game and throwing on the move. So you're just seeing why they've won the east side of the SWAC 6 years in a row.
Tigers come with a blitz. So Harper has to unload quickly, but he has a man. Now it's a foot race to the end zone. And number 11, Chris Blair, is thrown down inside the 10. But Harper saw the blitz coming, read it, and delivered the football.
Yeah, really nice play here. He's got a very, very tight window before he is going to get hit there. Drops it in perfectly. Really nice catch and run by Chris Blair. And the show just continues for Felix Harper in this offense.
He has so much poise in the pocket. I know we talked about it just a little bit on the top, but that's the thing that surprised a lot of people when he came in 3 games into the season. He replaced the injured Noah Johnson, who, by the way, was the SWAC Offensive Player of the Year for 2018. Those are some mighty big shoes to fill, and he's come in, and he's really shown a lot of that poise and determination in making plays, and it just continues today. And we have whistles on the field, and the officials will stop it, and we will see what the call is.
Delay a game there on the offense. But, yeah, when you talk about Felix Harper, anytime you replace a guy like Noah Johnson, I mean, the player of the year in the SWAC last year, you just expect there to be a drop-off, but there really hasn't been. I mean, he's really stepped in and done a really nice job protecting the football pretty well this year. Obviously can make all the throws. Can't say enough about how impressed we are with this guy.
Harper looking to throw again. Pressure coming. Throws it in a crowd, but he has his man. That is Chris Blair, and it's another touchdown for the Braves. So once again, the pressure was coming. Felix Harper, calm, cool, and collected, and he delivered the football.
Yeah, a little finesse on this one. He's got to drop this into a pretty tight window. That safety's crashing down on it. That's another one that when you make it happen, everybody's pumped about it. It's a really tight window. If that one gets picked off, obviously it's we're having a different conversation, but really nice job fitting that ball into that really tight window there.
He's got to give the official an assist on that one because he ducked and the ball went right over his head. So once again, Great Blue is on to attempt the extra point. It is good. And just like that, as we come down near the end of the first half, 3:45 to go here in the second quarter. The Braves have moved out in front to a 31-0 lead, and I'm not sure a lot of people saw this coming.
Yeah, I know we didn't. And when you look at the back half of the schedule, these last 4 or 5 games for JSU, they've played everybody pretty close. And we obviously didn't expect this, but when you look at Alcorn State in the history that this team has, 16 conference championships. Obviously, we talked about 6 SWAC East Division titles. This team's got a storied history and has had a lot of success recently.
Yeah, we talked about the 6 consecutive East Division titles. That's very impressive. The 3 FCS playoff appearances and 3 bowl games. They were way back to the 1968 Orange Blossom Bowl, which was I don't remember the Orange Blossom Bowl. That's a little before my time, but hey, that's history. And that's obviously a great accomplishment to get down to a bowl game anytime you go to a bowl game. I know you got to play in a couple of bowl games at Rice. I did also at McNeese State.
Yeah.
We actually went to 2 Independence Bowls. And so for a player, there's nothing that's more rewarding and more fun than to go on the road with your teammates and go to a bowl game.
There's no doubt. And that history extends all the way back to a guy that I played with at Rice, Corey Frazier, whose dad is, of course, Leslie Frazier, the Alcorn great, who's the defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills right now. But this program just has so much history, and obviously Coach McNair's really got them rolling right now. And to your point, we really didn't expect to see 31-0 at any point in this game, much less in the second quarter.
Leslie Frazier, that was a player right there, wasn't he? My goodness.
On that 85 Bears defense. And his son Corey was a free safety for us at Rice, another really good player. And he's with the Baltimore Ravens now. But yeah, you talk about just a storied history for Alcorn State and Jackson State as well. Obviously, this is an atypical season for them, and I know that they're not proud of how this season has gone. And they're not giving up yet. They still have fight in them, and we'll see what happens through the rest of this game.
Well, it just takes getting on the board. You just need one quick score, and then you'll be back in this thing. And so the Tigers now with the football on the attack again, and they're trying to get something going with the running game early. And you talk about both these 2 teams, and you talk about the matches. We were talking about it before. Great players in the history of these 2 schools, and you were talking about Jackson State, and you can't talk about Jackson State without talking about the great number 34.
Sweetness. That was the YouTube was just coming on the horizon as I was growing up, and those were the first videos that I remember watching was Walter Payton Sweetness videos, and just one of the greatest of all time. And I still think he has the best highlights. Some of his runs are just improbable. Him and Barry Sanders, I think.
They're tough. So that was a completed pass. Jalen Jones kicks it outside to Crowell, and the Tigers are trying to move forward and pick up a first down and continue this drive. It's going to bring up 3rd and short. 3rd and about 3 yards to go for a first down for Jalen Jones and the Tigers. Of course, he's a good runner himself. We haven't seen him in this ball game show that off yet, but he's run for more than 400 yards this season. And this time he heads straight away and into the backfield in a hurry. The Braves come up with a big defensive stop.
It's a really nice job there on defense. They bring with Solomon Muhammad. We haven't called his name yet today, but that's one of the impact players we knew that we would call his name quite a bit today. They bring him off the edge at the last second, and what you see out of him, really nice timing. He times this up, gets in, and disrupts this handoff exchange, and looks like we're going to get a punt here for Jackson State.
He's just a ball player. I mean, that's it. Solomon Muhammad leads the team in tackles, came into this game with 74. He's ranked 6th in the SWAC in tackles. He just seems to have a nose for the football, the 6'1", 235 senior. And once again, Gleaton punts it away, and that is Harper on the return. Pringle on the return, and he's going to be knocked down. Didn't get much on that one, maybe a couple of yards on the return as Gleaton kicks it over. And he's got that Australian-style line drive kick, and it's funny how the games have changed. Those are tough to return sometimes. They're tough to catch.
They are, and you've got to be really disciplined when you coach that and being able to get this off, because when you roll out to the right, all it takes is one guy to get through, and your punter's holding it a little longer than they normally do. And that's why I think you see more punt blocks on this rugby style. But when you're disciplined with it, it doesn't give the return team as much of an opportunity to get a return off, because it's just taking longer. It's giving the punt team more time to get downfield, and you see a rollout oftentimes where the ball hits and you get another 10, 15, 20 yards of roll.
Now, if you're Fred McNair and the Alcorn State Braves. You're looking at the clock and you have 1:50 to go in the first half. You have good field position. I mean, they're probably going to try to take another shot at getting some more points on the board.
To this point in this first half, I see no reason to think that they're not going to take a shot here. They haven't been stopped in the first half. And another thing, here on it's I know it's not senior day because they're not at home, but getting a chance in a game like this to get a lot of your seniors in that don't get a big win, I know is something that will be on Coach McNair's mind in the second half.
Felix Harper completes another pass, this time to Tim McNair Jr. And he hauls it in. Nice catch by Tim Jr. right there.
So yeah, they're coming out aggressive here. Obviously they're not gonna just run the clock out and go into half. So look for some tempo here to try and get some points for half.
This is also a good opportunity for the Tigers on defense to maybe come up with a turnover here, do something to stop them to get some of that momentum back before you go into the half. That is Bolton on the carry, and he scrambles forward for about 4 yards, and a good pickup by Bolton. We're down to 1:15 and counting here in the first half. It's been all Felix Harper in the offense. This time pressure is coming, and they get there. The Tigers come on the blitz, and they came away with the sack on Felix Harper. A fine play right there coming up by number 52, Khalil Arrington. Came around the left side, got in scot-free, and made the tackle for the sack.
Yeah, like you said, pressure off the left side, and with Felix Harper being a lefty, doesn't see this until the last second. And nice play there by Khalil Arrington, pardon me.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've called Arrington's name, but defensively, the Tigers have made some plays here in the first half. They've got in there, and they've had Harper under a lot of pressure. He's just made a lot of big plays with that pressure on him.
Yeah, this has really been about Alcorn making plays. It's not that Jackson State's given them anything. They have had a couple turnovers, which gave them short fields, but what you've seen is really Alcorn balanced both in the run game and the pass game, and playing well on defense. I mean, it's a complete effort right now, which is why, again, they are who they are in representing the east side of the SWAC.
So the Braves come back out on third down. It's Harper firing a man wide open, trying to get a little more. Was number 16, Juan Anthony. You remember he had the touchdown on the last possession. So that will move to sticks.
Yeah, nice play action here. Not an RPO, right? This is pure play action. You see the pass set for the offensive line, and does a good job reading that nickel to the top of the screen. He gets too wide. They hit the seam. Nice job. Nice pitch and catch there. And we're going to get a timeout by Jackson
and
State.
I think they want to look at the spot because as we were watching him on that replay, he had the first down. Then it appeared when he cut back over the middle, he may have lost the yardage that he had for it. But we'll have to wait and see what the officials have with where they mark the football when they come back. But I think it's going to be a first down for the Alcorn State Braves. Let's take another look.
Again here, nice accurate pass. He's got to get to the 42-yard line for a first down. Has it there. You're right, goes backwards. And he's going to be a full yard short.
So that's going to make a big decision coming up here for Fred McNair and company, whether or not they want to try a long field goal or go for
it. To this point, with their play calling and being effective in the running between the tackles, I got to imagine they're confident in picking up a yard here.
29 seconds to go here in the second quarter as the clock continues to tick down. In just a minute, we have a timeout here. Jackson State comes on the blitz. They bring everybody in. The pass is going to be incomplete, but let's see. On the play, 81, Anderson thought he was interfered with. He wanted to see the flag. Let's take another look. There is a flag on the play, so it's probably going to be pass interference.
Yeah, and you can see him just getting pulled, turned backwards a little bit. They go, man, Jackson State does, and it's a slant bubble combination. Just turns him a little bit, and that's an easy call for the ref. Anytime you see those shoulder pads turn the opposite direction, it's an easy call.
Yeah, when you look and you have one part of the shoulder pad uncovered right there with the jersey halfway hanging off, chances are somebody was doing a little holding somewhere on the play, and that will be a first down for the Braves. So they're still in business with 25 seconds to go here in the second quarter. Alcorn State out in front, 31-0. Felix Harper coming back inside, trying to hit that slant, and that was a fine defensive play right there by Ryan Thayer. He was right there and got a hand on that football.
Yeah, good job disrupting that by Ryan Thayer, 6'2", 195-pound senior. And they obviously, I mean, Jackson State, they're not going to, like we talked about, they're not going to give up. They're still going to have fight and try and make sure that Alcorn doesn't get any more points here before half.
Well, they've had so much success hitting that slant pass. Thayer finally decided, I'm going to step up and break that thing up, and he made a fine defensive play. So this time the give goes inside, right there to Nico Duffy, who's still on his feet, does a little dance. Now the clock ticks, 12 seconds and counting, as you see the Braves try to hurry and get to the line of scrimmage, and they do call a timeout. So we have a timeout out of the field with 12 seconds to go here in the first half.
Yeah, I think you got time here for one more shot at the end zone, and then after that, probably bring on the field goal unit. But yeah, this is, like you talked about, I don't think we expected to see 31-0. I mean, Jackson State in the last 4 games, I know they're coming into this game with 2 losses, but both of those are 2 back-to-back losses. But no, both of those are within 1 score, and we didn't expect this. But like we've talked about with Coach Fred McNair, 4th season at Alcorn, 28-18 record, and the last 3 of those 6 appearances in the SWAC championship under his reign, and older brother of the late Steve McNair, great Alcorn legend, and really just can't say enough about what he's done with this program.
Yeah, we talked about great players. How Walter Payton at Jackson State was a fantastic player. Steve McNair, super player with the Alcorn State Braves. Aaron McNair came to the Houston Oilers at the time, was a great #1 draft pick and did a great job. Went on to Tennessee, and you know about his career. He's had a great professional career as well. So the Braves now operating quickly, 12 seconds to go, and the pass is blocked. So Felix Harper trying to get another pass off, and we will see the time ticking down. It looks like we have 8 seconds to go in the half. Harper might try it one more time for the end zone.
Good job getting hands up, deflecting that ball. And yeah, you're right. I think, it looks like we'll have field goal unit on here and give Greg Blue another opportunity, this one from about 42 yards.
So Greg Blue coming up, trying to get his 2nd field goal of the ball game. Good snap, good hold. His kick is away and is blocked. I think it was blocked up front. Someone got a hand on it. And so the Tigers from Jackson State come away with a big defensive play to block the field goal attempt.
And this is a win that you could take into the locker room, right? Good job getting pressure. This looks like this is going to come right up the middle. Really nice job here getting the block. And like we talked about, they don't have quit in them, right? They're going to continue to fight. And this is what you want to see out of a young team. Get a block. Don't let any more points on the board. And now you've got at least a little bit of momentum to build on coming out into the second half.
From our vantage point, you really couldn't see what happened there, but I mean, that was a big block, and it was good penetration. You saw the hands go up, and that could be a little momentum lift for the Tigers as they head to the locker room. Coming away with the blocked field goal, denying Alcorn State as they tried to put 3 more on the boards. So what a first half we've had, a big first half indeed for Felix Harper and Alcorn State. Let's go down to Santoria Black. Thank you very much, Santoria. Of course, 31-0 is our score here. We will pause for a timeout and come back with some halftime activities in just a minute. Okay.
Free one-day delivery, video, music, and more. With Prime.
We are at the half, and as you can see on the screen there, it's the Alcorn State Braves having a wonderful first half They lead Jackson State 31-0. And coming into this game, of course, this is a big rivalry. You don't expect to see that many points scored in the first half, but a lot of it had to do with the fine play of Felix Harper. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's check out the coaches' poll first. And as you can see, the Alcorn State Braves, the division champions in the East, ranked number 2 on the poll right there. And as we go down the list, we can see Southern and Grambling neck and neck. Of course, they got the Bayou Classic coming up. That's going to be a huge one. And you look down there, Prairie View comes in at number 9.
Yeah, I mean, Alcorn, we talked about it at the start, obviously having a great season, and number 2 in the HBCU poll. But, Grambling is one that jumps out. We saw them earlier in the year when they were 0-4 and looked like this season may be lost. And obviously they've done a great job turning this one around. They've
done a great job. And, of course, one of their big wins was against Alcorn State this year. I mean, they did a great job in that ball game. And you look at it and you can see the SWAC well represented in this poll. Like you said, from top to bottom, you can see SWAC teams with Alabama State coming in at number 10. But that Southern Grambling game is going to be interesting. We will see. At this point, it looks like Alcorn State will be hosting that game at this point. They have a 31-0 lead. Here at the half, we'll be back with more as Jackson State trails Alcorn State 31-0 at the half.
Free one-day delivery on millions of items with Prime.
We are at the half. 31-0. Alcorn State leads Jackson State on Felix Harper's 4 touchdown passes in the first half. Led the way, so they are in complete control of this one. His first one went for 33 yards, and then after that, he just kind of got in a rhythm, and it was lights out after that. So let's take a look at the Braves' schedule and results, and we see how they've gotten to the point where they are, which is 7-3 and 5-1 in SWAC. And as you can go down there, you can see they lost a very close game at McNeese, and then they won at Prairie View, and that's where things started to roll. You can see the game at Prairie View.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you work all the way down to the loss at Grambling. When you go back and watch that tape, they were really in control all of that game. And then at the very end of the game, backup quarterback for Grambling comes in. They're able to pull it out late, and there's 2 missed field goals for Alcorn to, I know they feel like they had an opportunity and should have won that game. But, yeah, as you go down, there's really a lot of quality wins, really close game to McNeese, and then that loss to a bowl-eligible Southern Miss. And so this win today, obviously this will be a schedule and a performance that Coach McNair will be really proud of.
Well, and the loss to Grambling, you mentioned, that was an overtime loss, and it was a 3-point loss, and at that point they had won 5 consecutive games going into that one. So Coach McNair had his Braves on quite a roll up to that point. And as we can look at the other side, we will check out Jackson State. It's been a different story for Jackson State because you look at some of those scores. We talked about that in the first half. They had a lot of close ball games where Coach figured they just beat themselves, could not quite get over the hump this year.
Yeah, and that's whether it's a win or a loss. You just see how many of these are so close and down to 1 or 2, 10 points, a touchdown, just one possession, and that just really speaks to their youth. This is a team that they're going to get a lot of guys back next year, 16 returning starters for next year's team. And that's where you start to see that growth. That's where you win by a possession instead of losing these. So, this, I think when you look at this really just tells a tale of a really young team.
Yeah, you learn from your experiences, and so it'll be interesting to see how they come out here in the second half. Let's pause for another timeout, and we'll be back in just a minute with more halftime festivities. 31-0, Alcorn State out in front on Jackson State.
Welcome back here to Mississippi Veterans Memorial Coliseum, where Jackson State University trails Alcorn 31-0. I'm joined by the commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, Dr. Charles McClellan. And Charles, this is your old stomping ground. You're from Jackson.
Yeah, grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. Went to many games here in this stadium, so it's good to be back as commissioner.
What does it mean to have this type of national audience, and of course, what a turnout here in Jackson?
Well, Jackson State and Alcorn always brings the crowd. The Soul Bowl, they've been playing it here for a while. But this game had a significant, important role for Alcorn State University. If they could hold on to this game, that means they will host the second SWAC championship football game on campus on December 7th. So very important, great crowd, great audience.
How important was that to make a decision to have the teams host those Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship games?
Well, it turned out to be a great decision. I wish I could take credit for it. We were kind of put in that situation. But last year, Alcorn hosted. It was spur of the moment, had a lot of kinks to work out. But it was a great environment, great audience. All 10 member institutions bought into it. So it's something that we wanted to continue. The SWAC championship game is significantly important. That winner goes to the Celebration Bowl, and it's a true winner, a true SWAC champion, something that we had to do, and we're very proud to be able to present it.
Of course, the Celebration Bowl, big for the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Been a few years now on the national stage with that game. Talk about the involvement of the game and also how the SWAC has been able to help out.
Well, you're talking about two FCS institutions, two FCS conferences playing in a bowl game. There are no other FCS conferences that'll do it, and they will crown the true national black college champion. So bowl game, opening weekend, two Division I black college conferences. Hey, this is what we're all about. It's put us on a national stage. It's helped us with recruiting, and this is why our league now is so competitive. We've been able to get a record number of 3-star recruits based upon the bowl game and the level of notoriety that we've gotten all in from the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and it's great for our league.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. McClellan, the Southwestern Athletic Conference continues to grow. What's one of the things that you got coming up that you want to let the fans know about?
Well, the one thing we wanted to highlight, we'll turn 100 years old in 2020, and we're going to celebrate our 100-year anniversary in Atlanta, Georgia, July 17th, Friday. We're going to bring everybody back. If you played in the SWAC, even went to a game, we want you to come out and celebrate the 100-year history. We're proud. We've been here another 100 years, and we're looking forward to another 100 years.
Dr. McClellan, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Santoria.
All right, it's halftime. Alcorn State University leads Jackson State University 31-0. Second half action is coming up right here on ESPN3.
Let's take a look at first half highlights now. We start with the Tigers with the ball, and Jalen Jones is intercepted.
Yeah, this is one that if you remember, I think he thought he had a free play here. They might have had a defensive offsides. He puts one up. Nice interception there to get the game started. And really, this is where the momentum shifted for Alcorn and hasn't really left.
And then right there, Jordan Johnson could not get the handle on the snap. They were attempting the field goal. That goes for naught. And then on the kickoff return, the Tigers with a big return from Littles, but he coughs up the football and is picked up by the Braves, and they come right back in great field position. And then after that, the Felix Harper show. He goes downfield to Pringle right there for touchdown number 1. And then he comes inside to Pringle for touchdown number 2. And then he goes to the running attack right there from Duffy.
Yeah, this is obviously Felix Harper having a great first half, and then that run from Duffy right there. But we've seen it all from Felix Harper today, like we talked about. Really nice inside the pocket, downfield throws, and the ability to, right, like you see here, has some pressure in his face, move just a little bit, deliver a nice ball. We really have seen it all from him in the first half.
Great job right there to Chris Blair. Blair caught it, then right here the payoff to Blair over the middle for the touchdown. So Blair has a touchdown. Juan Anthony has a touchdown, and LaCharles Pringle has 2 touchdowns. That takes us to where we are, 31-0, Alcorn State out in front as we kick off to start the second half. And it will be the Tigers with the football to get the second half underway. And a great time. They picked up some momentum near the end of the first half when they blocked the field goal attempt. So now they have the football with a chance to put some points on the board.
Yeah, and if you're in the locker room for Jackson State at half, you say, look, guys, we're not. It's 31-0, right? We're not coming back in one possession. Let's chip away at this a little bit at a time. Last game of the year, senior day, let's come out, have some pride, and put up the best fight we can in the second half and just see what happens.
So the Tigers from Jackson State were pretty run-heavy in the first half. We will see what approach they take here in the second half. Jalen Jones turns and hands off. And it's a nice gain on first down for the Tigers as they move the football forward. That is number 23, which is Kamini Clark. His teammates call him Chemo. Chemo Clark on the carry, and now he goes out. He may have been shaken up on that play. He goes limping off to the sideline. So that will bring on Keyshawn Harper into the backfield.
Yeah, Chemo Clark, a guy that they're really excited about. They've got him for another 3 years, so a lot of big things to come from him.
So J-State this time, Jones passes to the outside, has a man that is 25, Danielle Crowell. He spins and should be very close to a first down.
And he may be hurt here. I think this was looked like he took a shoulder directly to the head, a clean blow, and he may be shaken up here.
Yeah, he's going to hop off the field, but
no, maybe it was an ankle.
That is tough right there. They come out, they have some momentum early, and you have two guys who go hobbling off to the sideline. So Jalen Jones steps up with 13 minutes to go here in the third quarter. And once again, they go to the power yardage up front, just right up the middle.
And as they come back out in the second half, sort of go with what you know. If you've run for over 300 the last two weeks, let's come back out, try to establish a presence, set up this downfield passing game in the play action.
I think that's a good strategy. If you look at last week's ball game, Keyshawn Harper carried the football 22 times for 208 yards. So he was a force, and when he gets it going, he can start ripping off big yards, big chunks at a time. So this time, Jalen Jones on the keeper, and he's going to be pulled down. A short game, but a fine defensive play coming up by Williams, number 22. Looks like he was one of the guys assisting, and Jawan Taylor also helping out on the tackle.
Really nice job coming down from the safety position to make that play on Jalen Jones, who he's got 411 yards on the ground to this point in the season, so a nice job bottling him up there.
So another big job coming up now for Jalen Jones and the offense for the Tigers from Jackson State. Jones has Keyshawn Harper to his left. Blitz coming. Good job picking it up. Has a man wide open, and he puts it right on him. That is Wallace. And a nice return by Warren Newman. Newman takes it all the way down near the goal line. So what a pass. It's Warren Newman, number 6. Who was wide open and made a nice run after the catch.
Great read by Jalen Jones here. You see he goes from his first read outside back to the middle of the field, and Warren Newman gets in behind the defense. Really nice pitch and catch there to put them in short yardage, and this is what you need, right? This is what we talked about. Come out of half and try and put points on the board.
Well, they were trying to do something to give this team a spark, and they did it. They came out, played some power football, and then Jalen Jones goes over the top, had Warren Newman wide open, and he takes it all the way down to the 1-yard line. First and goal to go for the Tigers with Keyshawn Harper in the backfield. Harper's going to get the carry inside, and he tiptoes his way, and he's going to be very close to that goal line. And there it is, the signal. Touchdown for the Jackson State Tigers. He went into that dark hole right there, and he kind of disappeared, but we could tell the legs were still churning, and it's a touchdown for Jackson State to start the second half.
And good for these guys coming back out, showing this fight that we talked about. Good opportunity here for Keyshawn Harper. Gets another touchdown. Keeps these legs moving, driving in that pile, and nice physical, tough run. That last yard inside the 5-yard line, you get down to that 1-yard line, and it's always pretty physical. So a nice job by Keyshawn there.
Yeah, it gets pretty physical down there. They did a good job of pulling Amari Catchings. You saw big number 60 come over and kind of make that seal on the inside right there. He ran right off of that seal and takes it in for a big touchdown. You couldn't have written a better script for how they wanted to come out and start the second half. So we have whistles on the field as the extra point attempt is no good, but this looks like it's going to be legal procedure against the Tigers. So that whistle was blown before we ever got a kickoff. Adrian Salazar will have another shot at it. Salazar, who's a senior out of Charlotte, North Carolina. This time blocked. So I tell you what, we were seeing that both teams are struggling with these extra points. As Salazar's second attempt is blocked. We're going to take a timeout. 31-6, Alcorn State out in front.
I like that, man. That's good.
That was just what the doctor ordered for the Jackson State Tigers. What a drive to start the second half. They go all the way down, scored a touchdown on Keyshawn Harper as we take a look at some of the stats from the first half. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, let's kick it off. And we talked about that's what Jackson State would have to do. And that's exactly what the Tigers did coming out of the locker room.
Yeah, nice response there from Jackson State. And, keep saying it, got to chip away at this a little bit at a time. And with this young team, it's really nice to come out in that second half, put points on the board, get a nice sustained drive, too. They ran the ball and threw the ball really well on that drive.
Yeah, the big play on that drive, of course, Jalen Jones to Warren Newman. A big gainer right down the field. Newman finally dragged down at the 1-yard line. So that would set up the Keyshawn Harper touchdown and put the J-State Tigers on the board early in the second half. So here we go. And Alcorn State with their first possession of the second half. And the Braves coming back on a nice return. And they will take over 1st and 10 as we look at some of the first half yardage. And one of the things that got to stand out to you when you look at 72 yards rushing for the Braves, but -1 for the Tigers.
-1 rushing yards for a team that the last 2 weeks has rushed for over 300 yards. And again, this goes back to what we talked about with Alcorn really dominating on the offensive and defensive side of the ball up front, and that it starts in the trenches, and that's where you see it. When you see a -1 rush yard, that's the easiest way to point to it.
Yeah, total yards 306 to 43 right there, and even first downs. The time of possession is a lot closer than it should be when you look at the 15 first downs to just 3.
Yeah, and part of this also for JSU is they weren't able to get the second and medium and the third and manageable. We get that inside, 3rd and 5. They had several 3rd and longs where they weren't able to get off the field.
Excuse me 1 second, because that is Javen Morrison, the injured Tiger down on the field, the young man who returned the kickoff just now. He's averaging 20 yards a return, and they're still looking at him out on the field, and now he is up. That is a great sign for Alcorn as he comes jogging off on his own power to the sidelines. And sometimes, when you're on special teams, that's a different kind of life. I mean, that's a hard knocks kind of life on special teams.
That is, and that's where you still see, I know they're trying to clean up the game with the head-to-head collisions, but that's some of the biggest, most violent collisions that we see are on kick return and punt return.
So Alcorn State with their first possession of the third quarter. Felix Harper has gone all the way at quarterback. Turns, fakes the handoff, fires out near the sidelines, and he has Blair for a short gain.
We'll see here. We come out with the second half for Alcorn. Obviously, nice quick game, play action. This right here is what we call an RPO. Offensive line up front, run blocking there a little bit downfield. But you have that window where the offensive line has a yard or two where they can be downfield and they won't call the illegal receiver downfield. Nice job there by Felix Harper getting the ball out of his hand quick.
Nice job by Harper and a good job by the Braves sending a message. We're not going to come out and just run the football. They're still trying to pass the ball. That time he was trying to go over the middle to Anthony, and it was incomplete on the slant pass. Harper just a little high with that one, and it's an incompleted pass. And
they go back-to-back here with the RPO. You see Harper is, what he's reading here is not the defensive end. He's not looking to pull this ball and run. He's reading the linebacker that he's influencing. If that guy steps up and he's able to throw it in behind him, he does. And he made the correct read here. He had an open receiver, just a little too high on the throw.
That will bring up third down now for the Braves from Alcorn State. Nico Duffy standing to Felix Harper's left. Fakes it over to Duffy. Dumps it off short. Breaks the tackle, and he's going to pick up the first down. A fine job right there getting that first down for the Braves.
Really nice body control here, catching this ball in the flat, able to get one defender off of him, stay in bounds, and pick up this first down.
Just a nice job there, just being patient, and what a job number 88 did. That's Demetrius Lewis, the big tight end. Broke away from one tackler and then went forward just enough to get the first down for the Braves. So Harper comes back the other way, and he throws high for Anthony, and the ball rolls out of bounds. That was almost a lateral. That was pretty close.
Yeah, it feels like Felix Harper's trying to get back in a rhythm here. A couple of these throws have been inaccurate, which we didn't see much of in the second half. See if he settles in the first half, excuse me.
Well, Well, I'd be curious to know what you think about it. One of the things I noticed was that the Braves started the ball game off looking to establish the run in the first half. Now they're kind of going a different route here in the second half. They're using the pass first, and they're going to use the pass to open up the run here in the second half. At that time, they ran it up the middle for no gain. And again, it was that big man inside. He's going to take himself out, but Vincent McIntosh, he's played a fine game for the Tigers so far today.
Yeah, you got to love the fight that you're seeing out of JSU early in this second half, forcing what looks like it's going to be a 3rd and long here.
So Felix Harper and company being very deliberate with the football now.
You see Jackson State crowding the line here. Looks like we're going to get some pressure.
And now we have a flag down on the field. And it's going to be legal procedure. And that will back the Braves up 5 yards on the play.
You see that every now and then when a defense really gets up in the line and starts to show pressure early. Those offensive linemen know what's coming, and they start to settle back a little bit, and that's exactly what just happened there. Rock back just a little too far, not able to correct it, and get a false start.
Now you have a 3rd and long coming up right now for the Braves. Harper with a lot of time, steps up in the pocket, fires, and the pass is incomplete. Very close, a lot of hands getting on that football right there. Very close to a turnover.
Dangerous play there. Nice play by the free safety, number 11, Tyler Rogers, 5'10", 205-pound senior, Really nice player to disrupt this. This is almost an interception.
Boy, he came so close. If you're one of the Jackson State fans out there, that's exactly what you needed right there. Instead, we'll have Corey McCullough on to punt the football away. McCullough is averaging 41 yards a punt. Has a long of 59 yards so far this year. Got a booming kick there, and it takes a roll for the Braves, and it's going to be touchdown inside the 20. So that's where the Tigers will take over again.
Yeah, it's really something you notice, and we've had a couple games here at Jackson State so far this year. They've got this natural grass surface, and the ball stops here. When they punt the ball, there's not really much of a rollout, which you don't get on turf. On AstroTurf, even with the field turf that you see nowadays, it gets a nice skip and will still roll out, and that's part of why the rugby punt is so popular. But just something we noticed, that the ball really just is sticking here. But let's see what Jackson State comes up with. Nice first drive, get points, then get a 3 and out. We'll see how they respond here.
So Jalen Jones back there operating, leading the offense. Hands to Jordan Johnson. Johnson slips away from one tackler. Still on his feet. Johnson fighting for that extra yardage. So there's no quit in these Tigers.
That's right. You know, we hadn't seen Jordan Johnson a lot in the weeks leading up to this, but they're featuring him today, obviously, and you got to imagine that part of that is just because he's a senior in last game here at Jackson State.
Well, he's been such a good running back for them all last year. He was the leading rusher on the team. He's really done a good job with this team. And you touched on it. They come out, they score first possession, they get them out, force another punt. So what can the Tigers do with this possession? This time he's going to keep it. Jalen Jones, and he has nowhere to go. He made the read, pulled it out, did not hand it off, and kept it, and then he had nowhere to go after he kept it.
Yeah, this was good team defense rallying the football. Had a lead blocker in front of him, and he's doing the best he can to leverage that blocker. And you're taught as a quarterback to just wait, stay patient, and then go. But wasn't really an opportunity to create space there. Good job by Alcorn rallying to the ball.
Damian Anderson, one of the Braves, in to make the stop. And this time it goes to Johnson again, and he's hit in the backfield and taken down. So the Braves reacting quickly in the backfield. Number 58, Malik Homer, one of the guys back there, and they were very active on that play.
Yeah, and we're seeing JSU go back to their MO, ground and pound attack, and let's see. They've had a little bit of success on this drive, moving the ball just a little bit, picked up a first down. We'll see if it opens up the play-action pass game.
Here's a big down coming up for the Tigers. Jones with the fake. Pocket, he had time, and then he ran out of time as the pocket collapsed on him. That was number 44, Jacorian Wren, teammates call him Kobe back there for the sack.
Yeah, this is another coverage sack here, and I wondered again if Jalen Jones may have been able to get the defensive line off sides, but again on this play, this is a good job coverage sack for Alcorn. Good job downfield and good job up front rallying and taking Jalen Jones down.
Well, then just like that, the defense for the Braves have stepped up and taken the Tigers out of their rhythm. They had a little rhythm here in the second half, but a couple of big plays in the backfield. Now, Jones looking to throw again, and he's going to be down. The ball is loose, and the Tigers managed to get back on that football, but it was a fumble by Jalen Jones in the backfield. Number 65 was also Jalen Jones making the recovery for the Tigers.
We've said it all day. Alcorn just really dominating up front. That internal clock starts to go off in your head as a quarterback. Once you get 3 seconds, I got to get it out. Looks like they actually went for it on fourth down there, weren't able to pick it up, and so we'll get Alcorn with it. Pardon me, this is lined up for a punt here for Jackson State.
Yeah, that was Theron Bonds on the sack. Coming up with the sack, he forced the fumble, but Jackson State recovered it, so they will have an opportunity to kick the football away, and they do. Zach Gleaton gets it away, and it goes out of bounds short of the 50-yard line. So the Braves will take over the football in great field position again with 5 minutes and 49 seconds to go here in the third quarter. I mean, they're going to go right back on offense and have great field position, but that was a situation where that drive went backwards because of the great defensive plays by the Braves, and that's what set up the field position.
Yeah, it really did, and we saw it again for Alcorn, where playing good team defense, rallying to the ball, and getting those negative plays on first and second down to force a third and long.
So Alcorn State, of course, there's a lot on the line for the Braves in this ballgame. If they win, they will get to host the SWAC championship game against either Southern or Grambling. So, the 31-6 is the lead, but it's not like Alcorn State is not playing for something, because they love to host that championship game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that you can't say enough how important it is in a situation like that. You want the home field advantage in your championship game, and so they're obviously you saw them come out and they're fighting quite a bit and want to put up a great effort here. And season in review for Jackson State here.
In the first 6 weeks, one win in September. My goodness. And then look at it. They had a 3-game winning streak, and that's when this team started to improve around October. They started to find their identity and realize that we're a running football team. However, the last 2 weeks, they've lost 2 really close games by combined 11 points.
Yeah, and it feels like a little bit today like the wind has sort of been taken out of their sails, that maybe those back-to-back close losses took away that momentum that they had built up in the middle of the season. And you couple that with, hey, we've lost a little bit of momentum, and now we're playing one of the best teams in all of FCS, really, but especially in the SWAC, and Alcorn coming in here, 6th consecutive championship on the eastern side of the conference. And so I think it's just been sort of a combination of things for JSU as they come into the backstretch and the home stretch of the season.
Well, it's been a perfect storm today. I mean, everything that happens when you're in this type of ball game, you can't make a lot of mistakes. And like Coach told us this week, his team has made mistakes that really has cost them that they have not been able to overcome. And that's what's happened again today. They've had some opportunities, and it's just the little things. But he is convinced his team is young enough. They will work it out, and they will be a force in the future. So the Braves with the football. And the handoff goes to Jonathan Bolton, who slides off tackle and picks up some yardage. So we may see Alcorn State, and we have a flag down on the field. So there is a flag on that play.
Yeah, I think we've got a pretty violent face mask here. His helmet got taken almost completely off. You can see right here, he steps up in the hole and right there gets the face mask turned all the way around.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty violent. You're not going to miss that one. So face mask penalty against the Tigers, so that's a big one. 15 big ones.
Yeah, and face mask, that's you're trying to make a tackle. It's not intentional, but it just goes back to you're beating yourself as a young team, and it's tough to overcome things like that, especially, you've given them a short field here, Alcorn. And so now 1st and 10 at the 24.
Felix Harper with one back behind him, turns, and he hands to Duffy, who goes straight ahead. Nico Duffy. We mentioned before he was the SWAC Newcomer of the Week last week for his 100-yard game. He also scored a touchdown. It's been fairly quiet tonight. He's had that one big run to set up a touchdown in the first half.
Yeah, he had that run you're referencing, and a really nice move within that run. But it's hard to steal the spotlight away from what Felix Harper and the Charles Pringle have done today.
Yeah, there's no doubt those two guys have been on the same page. Harper looking to throw it. Fires with the back shoulder pass, and it's incomplete. Was trying to hit Tim McNair Jr. over there right near the sidelines, and the timing was just a little off on that.
Yeah, I like the idea from Felix Harper here. His guy hasn't won on the route, and the corner's running even with him. So what you do is you try and aim right at that guy's helmet from where he's at and put it on. It ends up on the back shoulder, but just left it a little bit too far behind him.
So that will set up a 3rd and 9 for the Braves. 4 minutes and 42 seconds to go here in the third. So far today, Felix Harper, 4 TD passes. He had 4 last week. This time fires near the sidelines. He has his man. It's going to be a completed pass to Juan Anthony, but he is short of the sticks. It's going to be a couple of yards shy of that first down mark.
You see Juan Anthony here runs a nice clean route. Problem is Felix Harper is working through his progression, and by the time he gets down to Juan Anthony, that opening is closed down and he's not able to catch and get any yards after catch.
So that will bring up 4th down for the Braves from Alcorn State. 4th down and a long 2, might be 3 yards to go to convert. Harper looking to throw. And he finds his man. That is Duffy, and that's going to be a first down for the Braves.
Really nice play design and read from Felix Harper. The way they've got this set up, Jackson State's going to bring pressure off the edge. They know the middle linebacker's got to cover the back, so he's got a long way to run. And Felix Harper's got an easy read here where he's reading that linebacker right in front of him. If he blitzes, just replace him with the ball. It's a really nice job.
Well, he did a great job of getting that ball to Duffy quickly.
Yep.
Because when Duffy did not pick up the blitzing linebacker on the play, you kind of thought, uh-oh. But they were both on the same page. He dumped it off to him really quick, and that was a first down for the Braves. Oh, and a big hit in the backfield right there by the Tigers. I tell you what, he's like he was shot out of a cannon on that play.
And this is a running back's worst nightmare when you're coming out of the pistol, because you're running right downhill. You see that somebody's been turned loose, and you still got to take the ball. You can't just say no. It's obviously just a miscommunication up front for Alcorn.
Jakaiser Glass, number 59, was there in the backfield to tattoo him. I mean, he read that play all the way, and his reactions were just, he has quick reactions to the ball, made a big stop in the backfield. So this time Harper on the keeper, has some room on the outside. One man to beat. Harper spins, and he's in for a touchdown for the Alcorn State Braves. And once again, it's Felix Harper leading the offense down and into the end zone.
Great run by Felix Harper. Really nice instincts. Pulls the ball. Does a good job staying patient and leveraging his block. And, this is something that we hadn't really seen from him today, but he obviously has in the tool bag. We've talked, ad nauseum about how well he's thrown the ball today, but does a really nice job with his legs here.
He got a really nice block at the top of the screen. Just for a second, I thought they might have thrown a flag on it for a block in the back near the goal line, but they didn't. So it's a touchdown for the Braves. And they get a chance to add on to their lead. The extra point is good. Alcorn State still rolling here in the second half. They are leading Jackson State. More to come in the third quarter. Just a minute.
Free one-day delivery on millions of items. With Prime.
.232 to go here in the third quarter. As you can see, Alcorn State leading 38-6 over Jackson State here in the Soul Bowl. As you can see, a big crowd on hand for this ball game tonight, and it's just a huge rivalry. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Just 72 miles between the two colleges, so they have so much in common, and the intensity had to be high for the start of this ball game.
There is. I mean, there's pride on the line here, and that's really what you're fighting for at this point if you're JSU. And so I think that's why, we know we're going to see fight out of them for the rest of this game because it does matter to them. They're so close to each other.
And so here's the kickoff, and the Tigers will take over and have the football just shy of the 40-yard line. That is Jordan Johnson over there struggling for a little extra yardage near the sideline. But that's the whole thing about it. These guys know each other. They all played against each other in high school. I mean, they're so close. They're both recruited by both schools. So anytime you go there might be a little trash talking, maybe just a little.
Oh, 100%. You can't help it. But, yeah, it's like you grow up playing against these guys all the way from Little League all the way up through high school. Some of these, like we talked about, these guys were teammates in high school. And now they're obviously playing at a higher level. And so there's always emotion on the line. It doesn't matter, the records, you can put them to the side. It doesn't really matter once these two teams line up.
So the Tigers get the football, 1st and 10, operating right on the 35-yard line. Jalen Jones fires out near the sidelines, and he's too strong. It's incomplete. He was trying to hit number 10, Rameek Wallace. That one was just a little bit out of his range. He couldn't handle it, so we have a 2nd down coming up, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, a little inaccurate from Jalen Jones, but, we've talked about it already tonight, but they've got 16 starters coming back on this team for Jackson State, and so, including their true freshman quarterback will be back, and so there's so much to look forward to. I know that this season hasn't gone the way they hoped that it would, and, it looks like this game it will sort of follow suit, but there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to build on going forward for JSU.
I thought that was one of the things Coach Hendrick was really excited about when we talked to him. He said we're only losing 3 guys on offense and 3 guys on defense, and we had some movement on the line, but it's going to be stacked up in the backfield. Let's see whether or not the officials had it. Yes, he was there to go. Offside on Alcorn State. You can see a couple of the Braves moving early. And you were talking earlier, you were telling me when we were off camera that a lot of teams are going to this clap system of hiking the football. And that's another unique way of maybe inducing these guys to jump off sides.
Yeah, instead of a verbal snap count, they'll call the play, but then the snap is based on a clap. And that's how you try to draw people off sides. And, turnover here. This is another example, a nice play on defense by number 33, Mikhail Webb. And this is just story of the game for Jackson State.
This is when it rains, it pours. That was Tyson Alexander. He'd got his 2nd carry of the game, trying to make something happen. He just lost the football. He wasn't hit. He just lost the football, pops up into the air, and Alcorn State recovers. We'll see what the officials got here as they go to set the football down. But, like I said, when it rains, it pours. And that's what happens. And right now it's raining fumbles. That's a tough break. You hate to see that.
It does.
And you said it was Malik Webb who made the recovery.
Yeah, and it fell right into his arms. Like you said, ball carrier wasn't hit. Just slipped out. And that stuff happens. But it's tough for a team that needs breaks to go their way right now. And unfortunately, all of them are going against them.
Going the other way right now. That was number 24, Jonathan Bolton, on the carry. And at this point, with 1:32 to go here in the 3rd quarter, you may see Alcorn State just concentrating a little more on the running game. Maybe just looking at that facet of their ball club.
Yeah, focus on the running game, and then I think once this turns over to the 4th quarter, don't be surprised if we start to see some guys get in as seniors and upperclassmen that maybe don't play as often.
That was Harper completing the pass to Pringle. LaCharles Pringle, who's had a big day. I mentioned those two really combined last week for 3 touchdowns, and they've combined already today for 2 touchdowns. So, some of these teams, though, you look at Fred McNair running his offense at Alcorn State. Sometimes you just have to run your offense. No matter what the score is, you just have to go out and run your offense because, you get in trouble when you try to do something that you don't do on a daily basis.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and a lot of that is just the quick game and intermediate route concepts. It's not like they're taking deep shots right now. They got to run their offense.
So Harper again looking underneath, has a man. Juan Anthony makes the catch, and then a group of Tigers take him down after that, including number 21. That is to Noah Alex helping out on the tackle.
And another nice compact delivery here by Felix Harper. Completion to Juan Anthony. And good job by Juan Anthony being disciplined and getting his route to the stick. So often you see young guys, they run their route just shy of the first down.
Okay, we're going to pause for a timeout. Be back with a whole lot more. We have the fourth quarter left to play. Alcorn State versus Jackson State, 38-6. Braves out in front.
Music and more with Prime.
So far in Jackson, Mississippi, it's been Felix Harper's world, and everybody else is living in it. 4 TD passes. He ran for a touchdown, and Alcorn State, the champions in the East, find themselves with a commanding 38-6 lead over Jackson State today.
Like you talked about, Felix Harper's really come out and shown us why he's in contention to be SWAC Player of the Year on offense. And 4 touchdowns, like you mentioned, and he's shown versatility, not only throwing the ball, but in his last rushing touchdown as well.
As a former quarterback, we could talk a little bit about it, but the thing that impressed me, so I'd like to hear what your angle on it is, he has been so poised in the pocket because they've sent everything but the kitchen sink at it today. I mean, they've put a lot of heat on him.
They have, and for a guy that, he's only, I think this is his 9th or 10th start this season, but he plays like a guy that's had 2 or 3 years of experience.
That is Nico Duffy, the freshman on the carry, and he powers his way forward for a couple of yards before he ran into big number 44, Vincent McIntosh, who actually helped him up.
And I think this is what we're going to get a heavy dose of in this fourth quarter from Alcorn is run the ball, chew up this clock, try and get out of this game as healthy as possible for the SWAC championship.
Duffy came into the game. He had 650 yards, which placed him 5th in the SWAC. So he figured by the time this one was over with, he'd be over 700 yards, and he still looked like he's on target for that. As he goes in motion here. Harper's going to throw this time under pressure, and he's knocked down. Heavy pressure coming in from number 92. That's Justin Rajan making a big play, and he knocked him down with one hand.
What a job by Justin here. Gives him the swim move, gets around the edge, forces a sack. Really nice play there.
Yeah, just a clean play. Didn't hit him in the head, didn't hit him anywhere. Hit him across the chest with the one arm, and then Justin's so big. He goes 6'4", 255 pounds, sophomore from Memphis. And you compare that to Felix Harper, who's 5'11", 180. So something's got to give on that matchup. So Harper goes down, and on the play, Rajan was given credited with the sack. So we have a timeout on the field now. As you see the Tigers jogging over to talk to their head coach, John Hendrick. And, we're just starting the fourth quarter here, but every game, and I thought it was interesting that Coach told that to us this week, he said every game is a learning experience when your team is this young.
It is, and they'll take this and they'll learn from it, and this one's going to sting. But they've had so much of this season that's been so close.
So many close games, but not today. Alcorn State living right today, 38.
Every family has a unique story. This holiday season, help your family discover theirs.
Welcome back, and we were checking out some of the royalty at the game today. Miss Jackson State taking her leave from the stadium. Now we go back to the action on the field. Felix Harper guiding that Alcorn offense. Harper with a beautiful pass, and he just missed this guy. He was a little bit too long, but he can spin it. He really spun that one. Was trying to hit Juan Anthony. Anthony had a step, but we do have penalty flag down on the field, and here's another guy with his shoulder pads exposed, indicating there might have been some holding going on.
Yeah, you want to talk about an easy call for the ref. Anytime the jersey's been pulled all the way down like that, they're not going to miss that one.
Well, and you wonder what would have thrown the timing off, because he did have a couple of steps, and it was a beautiful pass from Harper, but it was not to be. So we'll see what the mark-off is.
That's sort of how well Felix Harper's played today, is that when he throws an incompletion, we just assume something must have gone wrong that was out of his hands.
Yeah, because he's been so accurate with the football.
He has been.
And the officials are going to mark it off against Jackson State. 12:54 to go.
We've talked about the youth that Jackson State has coming back next year, but this Alcorn team also had a lot of young guys, especially at the skill positions, that are going to be back next year.
Yeah, and that's a great thing, and they get the experience of playing in the SWAC championship game, and they're going to be hosting that championship game. I mean, that's quite an experience for a young guy. So this time Harper looking to throw again, coming in on the slant pattern, and that one's going to be broken up. Inside, Jashawn Baker, and now we have a hole, and that's probably going to be holding on Baker.
Yeah, got another holding here. Chris Blair, number 11, receiver for Alcorn, does a good job with the inside move, and you get the holding call again, and just, again, that calamity of errors that we've seen for Jackson State all day.
Jashawn Baker, number 14, the guilty party there. And the thing about Baker was earlier in the year, he was a starter for the Tigers. He did a good job as a young guy. He's a freshman, and he had some problems. So they put him back to where he was coming off the bench, and he was kind of settling in a little bit. And but he also saved a touchdown on that play. It's a penalty, but he saved a touchdown on the play. So a fine play by Baker. And Harper with a give, this time to Duffy. Duffy sweeps left, cuts it back inside, and is taken down on the 3.
Nice job by Duffy on the stretch zone. Get all the way to the perimeter, take one cut, and go. You'll see on the replay here. Get out wide. Boom. One cut. Get as much as you can. Nice job in pursuit by D-line there for Alcorn State.
You know, just watching that offensive line, you just got to love those guys watching them work through this part of the ball game. Darius Davis there was doing a good job just kind of leading the way around the left side, getting his big body in there, and now Braves are knocking on the door again. Felix Harper turns, gives to Duffy, and this time he bangs forward to about the, looks like he's around the 3-yard line.
You see, if this would be another one that, you want your young guys, if you're Jackson State, you want to try and get a stop here, right? You want to, this is something you can hang your hat on. Hey, we got inside the 5-yard line, we were able to bow up and force them to kick a field goal here. That's something, you're trying to take anything you can build on into the offseason, and this could be an example of that.
Well, and that's exactly right. And you look at here on the other side, Felix Harper and company, they're getting ready for a championship game next week, so they're trying to keep that offense sharp. And they go inside, and what a defensive play, a great reaction inside by the Tigers. One of the guys there, number 98, C.J. Anderson, who's played a really good game today.
He really has. He's been all over the place, and he's been a force in this interior D line all year for Jackson State.
But he's been hustling. He's been making tackles downfield after pass receptions. I mean, he's done a really good job. So we're going to see another field goal attempt coming up here. It's going to be a 21-yarder coming up by Greg Blue. McCullough will hold it down.
Blue to attempt the 21-yard field goal.
Snap is high, but McCullough got it down, and Blue's kick is good. And so the Braves are playing add-on. 3 more for the Braves as they add to their lead. The Alcorn State Braves behind Felix Harper in complete control here in Jackson. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
Like that, man. That's good.
And there are just a few famous Alcorn State alumnus, including Steve Air McNair. We talked about Steve a little earlier in the broadcast. Of course, led the Tennessee Titans to 4 playoff appearances and the Super Bowl 34. Of course, he was drafted number 1 by the Houston Oilers. It was great watching Steve getting to go to training camp in San Antonio and watching Steve try to work his way through this team. 3-time Pro Bowl selection, just a excellent career, 13-year NFL career with Houston and Tennessee and then Baltimore, throwing for over 31,000 yards. I mean, that's impressive. Then look at his TD total, 174.
Yeah, one of the best all-around quarterbacks to ever play the game, and part of that crazy Super Bowl against the Rams, coming up just 1 yard short, but accomplished so much in his career, and obviously an Alcorn legend.
Yeah, and for a quarterback, such a tough guy. I mean, that's not usually a word you use to describe a quarterback, but he was a tough guy. I mean, they hated to see him running the ball as much as throwing the football.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was tough and huge. He's a big guy, and I don't care what position you play. It's never fun to hit somebody that's that big and strong.
And he was always a nice guy, always good to cover Steve. He always patient guy, always took the time, always wanted to do an interview and talk about whatever the topic was. Just a good guy to talk to, and of course one of the all-time greats from Alcorn State, Steve McNair. So we start with Jackson State with the football again, and they go back on the ground. No, he's going to pass it. Downfield ball is up, and it's going to be intercepted by the Braves. A big pass. It was tipped up in the air and intercepted by Alcorn State.
You just add this to the list, right, for a day that pretty much everything has gone Alcorn's way, and ball is just it's a little bit behind him, and that forces it, gets tipped up in the air there.
Quinterio Cole was the recipient of the interception after the ball is batted up in the air. He does a good job of coming down with it and making the INT for the Braves.
And for Quinterio Cole, that's number 5 on the year, 5 interceptions in any season. That's somebody that's just you point to and say that guy is making plays and is always around the ball, and that's just another example of it right there.
Well, you're right. When you have that many interceptions, you usually are found around the football, and he was there, comes up with it. So Alcorn State, with 10:22 left, they get another turnover and they get the football back. And so we're coming down to the part in the ball game where you might think about taking out Felix Harper.
And that's exactly what's happened now. And I think across the board for Alcorn, you'll start to see a lot of younger guys get mixed in here.
Jawan Russell is in, and he hands off straight ahead. Jaron Russell is a 6'3", 195-pound sophomore from Grand Prairie, Texas, in the ball game now at quarterback.
And this is what this is great when you're a head coach, right? This is exciting for you when you get a chance to reward guys that don't get to play as often, and you get them in a regular season game, get them meaningful snaps.
As you know, at this time of the ball game, when you're in the film room and you're going to be on the tape, you got guys that are backups, and the ball is loose and it's picked up by Russell, and he's taken down for a big loss. But what I was going to say is you have guys who work hard all week long. They're on the scout squad. They're running the other team's plays. They get a chance to come in a game and play and show a little bit, so they get down to sit down when you go to watch the film. They get to see themselves on tape for a change.
Yeah, and it's important to them. And this is also the type of plays that you have a tendency to see when you get guys in there that haven't played as much throughout the year. But these snaps are important to these guys. They work all year like you're talking about. They're putting the same time and reps in that the starters are, and so it's nice to get them a reward like this.
Russell comes in and hands off to Kevon Marsh. And Marsh powers his way forward, and a little extracurricular activity going on the field now, but the officials are there to break it up quickly.
Yeah, 38-6 in a rivalry game has a tendency to get a little chippy at the end, but like we talked about, Alcorn really throughout this game has dominated, and it starts up front. Real credit to their offensive line and defensive line of setting the tone early and really not letting off the gas for this entire game.
While we just brought it up a minute ago, who else went to Alcorn State? Michael Clark Duncan, the actor. Remember the guy from the Green Mile? He went to Alcorn State.
I had no idea.
Yes, sir. Alex Haley, the author. So a lot of obviously famous alumni that went to Alcorn State. And here we go again with the Braves on offense. This time Russell going to show off his wheels a little bit. Comes around the left side, tries to cut back, and he slips. And then he goes down after that.
Yeah, good mobility there from Russell. And I'd like to see, I haven't seen him throw before. We'd like to see something downfield from him, but obviously with this big of a lead this late in the fourth quarter, they may just keep it on the ground.
Well, the officials are spotting the football. Now it's ready to go. Tigers faking the blitz, and Russell keeps again. This time around the left side, and once again he surges forward for a nice game. Comes up about 2 yards shy of a first down.
Yeah, they're just going with basic zone read here, but one of the things I like for Alcorn, they do a good job of getting a lead blocker. You'll see this out in front. And for this one, 86 shows like he's going to block that defensive end, but then he doesn't. He bypasses him, and that's who Russell's reading right there. Nice job by Russell pulling that ball and picking up positive yards.
So the Braves doing a good job of also working on that clock while they're advancing it up the field. They're doing a really nice job. keeping the clock going. And you can see that the Tigers are getting a little slower out there. It tends to happen with a big lead like that. You're moving a little slower on defense. They've been out there a lot here in the second half.
And here on offense for Jackson State, we've got Derek Ponder back in, a guy that he played quite a bit earlier in the year and even in the middle of the season. And was a guy that we thought may start earlier in the year against Grambling, and he's getting back in here.
Well, Coach said he was the better passer of the two, definitely. So he comes in now. He's going to get some action with 7 minutes to go. Ponder is a junior, 6'3", 215 from Bells, Texas. Actually played a little football at Navarro Junior College. So he's been around a little bit. And like you said, he was a starter earlier in the ballgame. So we're seeing mass substitutions now on both sides if you're following us here. So we're trying to keep up with the changes as Ponder comes in at quarterback. And he did just what you were talking about, Taylor. He did the snap count, the slap, and he got a guy to jump off sides.
And that's what we've seen, really across college football. And if you in the NFL even, one of the things that we saw Kyler Murray at the beginning of their season was getting called and dinged for. You can't do that in the NFL. You have to have a more traditional cadence, as this is offsides on Alcorn. But in the NFL, it's either got to be a silent count or a verbal cadence or a hand signal of some sort. The clap is illegal. But in the college game, that's really what we've seen a lot of programs go to. It also gets rid of having to have any sort of signal or verbal if you're going somewhere that's going to be loud and you're worried about noise control. But that's also used with a fumble here. And this is, as a quarterback, it's your worst nightmare. You go back to throw, and then the ball just flies out.
That's exactly what happened on that one. He went back to pass it, cocked his arm, and the ball just squirted out. But he picked it up, Ponder, and he picks up what he could get out of it. So he does advance the football forward. But we've seen just about everything happen for Jackson State here tonight.
They have, and it's been turnovers, drop passes, penalties, and really, like we talked about earlier, feels like a team that just sort of lost, got the wind taken out of their sails after the last two really close losses, and they've got a lot to build on moving forward. And game summary from what we've seen today, we talked about how Alcorn likes to jump on their opponents and has a tendency to jump out early on opponents, and they did that in this first half, going 31-0 into half, and they never let up.
Yeah, you look at Harper, 261 passing yards. That one TD is wrong. So he has a little more than that because he has 4 touchdowns passing the football. He's rushed for a touchdown today, so he probably has a little more yardage than that. So, we will update that if we can in a little bit, but he's got more yardage than that. He's had a fantastic day for the Braves. And this time, the handoff, and it's just nowhere to go. That is Jordan Johnson again, number 17, trying to pick up what he could pick up in that situation, but it's just not a lot there. As you see, the Braves still have several of their starters out there on defense, including number 1, Dalen Burks.
And this is where you're surprised to see these guys out there at this point in the game, especially with what Alcorn has to play for moving forward. But the rest of these snaps, really, it's just teaching points for your young guys. It's get them in there, and, hey, this is talking points that they'll refer back to in the offseason and in spring ball.
Tigers will now try to punt this one away. Gleaton hits it really low, and this time, as you've been noted, it's going to be picked up by the Braves. But that ball hit the ground, and it just died. You made that comment earlier. That's exactly what happened there. A lot of spin on that ball, and it goes nowhere. 38-6, Alcorn State out in front.
This holiday season, help your family discover theirs.
41-6, the Alcorn State Braves leading Jackson State. We are late in the fourth quarter now, and Alcorn with the football. So they came out. Coach Fred McNair and his team had a big game that they really needed to come to play, and they did today. And their young quarterback, Felix Harper, had himself a whale of a ball. He played extremely well tonight. You could see it in every facet of it.
He did, and it'll be great for them to this is great momentum going into the SWAC championship, as opposed to coming in flat. They'll have a lot to build off of for next week.
And Jackson State's not ready to roll over and get this. Ja'Kaiser Glass, he read something in the backfield. He had a key because he came flying through there and made a nice stop for a loss. So Ja'Kaiser Glass still playing hard for that J-State defense.
Yeah, pressure right between the tackle and the guard, and he timed up the snap count really well there. Got into the backfield, made a really nice tackle for loss.
Yeah, almost took the handoff. He was literally back there that fast, he could have taken the handoff. Jaron Russell, number 17, back in at quarterback for the Braves. He got the last series. We mentioned he's a 6'3", 195-pound sophomore from Grand Prairie, Texas. This time he turns and hands and straight ahead running by Kevon Marsh. And that's some power running straight ahead for a big gain for the Braves.
Nice run by Marsh there, but like we started to talk about a second ago, this is easy tape to turn on when you're Alcorn. When you turn this on tomorrow and be proud of your guys and say, hey, look, we've got really nice momentum as we go into the SWAC championship, and that's important. It's great for them to put up a performance like this going into this championship week.
And you can almost see them building toward this. When we looked at the schedule earlier and saw the games that they had played, they won the 5 games in a row, and then they lost to Grambling. But it's almost like there's never a good time to lose, but it almost like it was, because they wanted to regroup and kind of get some of that momentum going and be going into the postseason on a high with a lot of momentum, and that's what's going on now for all.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you go back and watch that Grambling game, it felt like they were sort of just waiting around for the end of the game, just flat for most of the fourth quarter. And once Grambling's backup quarterback got in, it felt like they really lost momentum in that game. And I agree with you that where the timing of that loss was in the season, it gave them an opportunity to bounce back for 2 games leading into this one.
And in any sport, it's all about peaking at the right time. And these guys have been involved with the postseason for the last 6 years, and so they know what it means to peak at the right time. So it appears the Braves will send the putter on to kick the football away. Should be Corey McCullough. And it is, number 19. He's had a fine year, too. I mentioned he's averaging 41 yards a kick. That's a pretty good average. And he's up near the top of the SWAC.
We haven't seen the Alcorn punt team as much today.
So they're going to use every second off of that clock. And now we have a whistle to stop play, and it's going to be too much time against Alcorn. How about some closing thoughts on this ballgame?
Well, I think for Jackson starting out, they've got a lot to play for next year. They've got 16 guys coming back, and this game is not indicative of the talent that they have on their team. But more importantly, I would say for Alcorn, this is a solid, well-rounded, balanced team led by a really solid quarterback that's got good talent around him. And this is one of the better teams, obviously, in the SWAC. They've won, like we've mentioned, 6 years in a row they win the eastern side of the SWAC. And it's just a balanced team, and you saw that really in all facets. They created turnovers, they played tough team defense, and on offense, we saw the ground and pound and the explosive plays. So when you put together a full team effort like that, this is the performance you get.
And if you had to pick a player of the game, it's got to be Felix Harper. Look at his numbers.
Oh, yeah.
4 TD passes, 1 rushing touchdown. I mean, he had an outstanding day.
There's no doubt. Felix Harper, a special player we talked about at the beginning. And it really can't be stressed enough. This guy replaced the player of the year last year from the SWAC. And in week 3, comes off the bench cold, replaces a guy that was considered to probably be in contention to win player of the year again in 2019. And he steps in, and to our eyes, there wasn't really much of a drop-off, if any. So credit to Felix Harper, not only in this game, but really for the body of work that he's had throughout the year.
Well, and that's one of those situations that shows you as a backup, and it's so hard to stay ready, but you have to keep yourself ready because you never know when your number will be called.
It's so true. So many times you see at any level a guy that steps up and gets their moment and takes advantage of it, and this is a great example of it. I mean, the shining example of it at the highest level is Tom Brady. It was a guy that, at the beginning of his career, most people thought would be a career backup. Obviously goes on to be the greatest to ever do it at the quarterback position. But if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt, Drew Bledsoe gets hurt and he's ready to step in. He has the career he has. And that story, Dak Prescott in Dallas, it's riddled with examples of that. From NFL all the way down to JV football. Any level, you got to have your backups ready to go and prepared to step in. And Felix Harper did just that.
And that's always, it's a lot easier to say. You need to be ready. You need to come out to practice every day. You need to go over your plays. You need to do what you need to keep yourself in shape. Because that's another big part of it, too. If you're not playing every week, you're not working as much as the starters are working. So there's so much that goes into this. And you have to give Fred McNair a lot of credit, one, for knowing the type of talent he has, and for running the type of practices that keeps all these guys involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeping your guys engaged in meetings and getting those mental reps. It's just so imperative because, like you said, you never know when you're going to get your shot. You got to take advantage of it when you do.
Yeah, and here's a guy who, he always did it every time he was on the field. Sweetness from Jackson State. We talked about him earlier. He's one of the greats, one of the all-time greats, and he played right here at Jackson State, Walter Payton.
One of the all-time greatest to ever do it. And it was just his combination of, they called him Sweetness for a reason. His runs just looked like, poetry in motion. But then at the same time, he had some physical runs where he would deliver the blow to guys. And just one of the best to ever do it. And so cool that he's an alumni of this Jackson State University.
Yeah, he brought the power. And right now, Jackson State, though, they're moving the football down there. They're not quitting. They're trying to get some more points on the board. They know the game is over. And we have a guy who's down on the field who appears to be injured, shaken up just a little bit on the play. See Ponder in the pocket, had to step forward. Let's see if we can spot what happened. Oh, can't really tell what happened there. Thought maybe Ponder was going to get his leg twisted up for a second, but it was actually the defensive guy who was injured on the play.
Yeah, and this is stuff that you just don't want to see towards the end of the game. Let's get everybody out of here healthy, and for Alcorn move on to the championship and get Jackson, into the offseason and building for next year.
I know we've done Grambling this year. I've done a lot of Southern this year. We've seen, how do you think this championship is setting up between whoever it is, whether it's Grambling and Alcorn or whether it's Southern versus Alcorn?
Well, I think either one of these matchups are going to be tough, physical. They're well-rounded teams, and I think so often when you see championship teams, that's really what they're defined by. I think it's specific to Grambling. It is very tough to beat teams twice, and that game was, I think, a real outlier for Alcorn this year, and I would be, if I was a betting man, I would say I would take Alcorn in a rematch against Grambling, but either scenario is going to be a great matchup.
Of course, the Bayou Classic still to come from the Superdome in New Orleans, the Mercedes Superdome, and here we go with Derek Ponder firing another pass near the sideline, so they fired that one out of bounds, and I noticed whoever's running the clock, the ball hitting, and the clock went off another 5 seconds.
Clock operator's ready to get out of there.
He's ready to go home also. Well, what a big, like I said, big crowd, big rivalry. Did not work out the way Jackson State had hoped, but it still was a big show.
It was.
I bet everybody that showed up at this one is happy they came to watch this one.
There's no doubt. These rivalry games, like we talked about earlier, that's what makes college football so great. It doesn't matter the scenario and the records. Games like today are what make college football so special.
They're still throwing the football, and that's kind of surprising at this point in the ball game. But Ponder was trying to hit Crowell, and it looked like he was on skates as he went sliding across the field there. He hit a muddy spot on the field. And a lot of people sticking around for the 5th quarter to hear the battle of the bands after the ball game. As Derek Ponder comes up with 20 seconds to go. Fires a pass that's going to be incomplete. Throws it behind the receiver there. So apparently they're having a lot of trouble with the footing right now. And we're down to the final 15 ticks.
Yeah, footing's been an issue for most of this game, and it looks like rain previously has led to guys slipping around. And, yeah, Derek Ponder's had a couple of these in that last series that guys were trying to stop their routes and they're missing them.
can see it's been all Alcorn State here, and they made a move late in the second quarter, and they just continued to pour it on here in the second half. Yeah, so the Braves coming out, and they're going to now take a knee with the football. It's going to be Russell. Takes the snap, and he takes a knee. And that, for all practical purposes, will do it from Jackson. What a big day it was for the Alcorn State Braves. And that is our final. So for Taylor McCord, Santoria Black, and our entire crew, I'm Butch Alcindor saying we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Final score is 41-6 Alcorn State. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.